Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, in here with my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
That sword is off the chain, man.
The sword is off the chain, y'all. For those of you who know, this is part 3 of the War Ready series.
It's a war.
And it has absolutely been going down, and it's going to keep going down today because we brought in 2 incredible young ladies. We are in here rocking with Sarah the Misfit and Naja Alston. So stay tuned because we're going to get y'all ready for this spiritual war. Let's get it. Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
I can already tell, man. It's going to be a powerful one right here.
You need to watch too.
I discovered porn when I was a child. My mom.
To get that white man's option out of it. Pursued me, I ran.
The brother I want don't care.
This is dope.
We need to have a threesome. There you go. When we mix God in there.
Guys, y'all still see it. We still got the vest on. We still rocking the swords.
Give us some details about the vest, though, because last episode we just had a bunch of people flood in the video. Why do they got on bulletproof vests?
Because, man.
It's a war.
That's why, all right? Listen, it's been kind of heavy. I see some of y'all, it's a lot of different feedback in the comments about these last couple episodes because these some heavy episodes,
Definitely.
right? This ain't just the dating and relationships that you might come and hear Hardly Initiated talk about. Because underneath all of the problems that we might just be dealing with in our dating and our relational lives, it's some real deep stuff that really is the root cause of a lot of what we just see in our relationships. I'm talking about the relationships with your family, your intimate relationships, and the relationship with yourself. All right. So that's what we diving into and why it's so important to talk about this spiritual warfare, because this is the core of what we really dealing with, y'all. And we got to talk about what's going on right now in the community.
Yeah, it's really going crazy. I mean, well, first, before we even get into that, I want to talk about why we specifically chose these 2 guests for the evening.
Oh, man, yes.
So y'all probably already familiar with Naja. And Naja kind of put us on blast a little bit. Listen, we really brought her on to confront her live on air.
Right.
But no. So you probably already familiar with Naja, who put out a review video that we had on last Monday's episode. Now, over the course of about a week, and also having you on the show on Wednesday and really keeping up with your content since then, we've developed a bit of a relationship.
Yeah.
Right? And because you guys have emailed us persistently and texted us I don't know, some of y'all got my phone number. I don't know how y'all got my phone number. I had to remove it from the website.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But y'all have told us specifically that we needed to have Naja on the episode.
Yeah.
Now, Naja has an extremely powerful testimony. Go ahead and pull that
The DMs, man.
Yeah.
Like we got tons of DMs asking to get Naja on the episode. I'm talking about we only pulled a couple. We got at least 20 to 25. So we did this here for y'all, family.
Yeah, it really incredible. And the thing is, we had to absolutely get her on the show because people are experiencing this in real life. So why not bring somebody who, has dealt with it and overcome it?
And this is really interesting too, because y'all know, for people who've been here for the entire, if you've been here for the entire War Ready series, I want you to drop a me in the chat, because y'all know the different the journey we've went through these last few episodes. But the beauty of both of these young ladies is they both have a history in witchcraft. Is it safe to say that you were a witch?
Yeah, actually, yes.
She's hard. You see how she had to take a little deep breath?
Now this is the thing. We can't forget about our second panelist, who is virtual.
Yes.
Sarah the Misfit. Now, Sarah, this is the thing. We had to specifically get Sarah because Sarah also has a very powerful testimony that's it's impacting thousands of people, both men and women.
Yeah.
And the thing about Sarah, and because I wish we could have had her in person, that would have been so incredible, but she's actually located in the UK. Now, if you've been keeping up with Hardly Initiated, you know by now that the UK is in our top 5 growing audiences. So we got, I think it's Atlanta, Houston, New York, and Chicago. And then we got the UK.
Nice.
So this just further proves that this challenge, specifically divination, witchcraft, spiritual warfare, is literally happening all over the world. So let's give a shout out to Sarah the Misfit real quick.
Sarah, welcome to Hardly Initiated. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
That accent, I like that.
Yeah. Listen, Sarah, we blessed. It's a blessing to have you. We spoke a lot prior to this episode, so it's very exciting to have you here, y'all. We found 2 ex-witches that have turned it around and came to the light. Welcome to the light with me and Ryan here, Sarah.
Amen. It's good to be in the light.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Now we get ready to get this conversation kicked off, but before we do, really quickly, I want to give a shout out to the episode sponsor, Hardly in Love Dating Cards, guys. If you don't know, now you know. Tyshawn and I Tyshawn and myself and Delano, let me not leave out this young man. We all put our heads together to come up with a 100-prompt dating card game that's literally good for any occasion. So Lano, I want you, because y'all hear from me enough, I actually want to hear from one of our lovely initiates giving us a shout out and the Hardly in Love cards. Lano, roll that video real quick.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I got my Hardly initiated Hardly in Love cards. Thank you, Tyshawn. Thank you, Ryan. I am still single, y'all, but honey, with these, I'm going to get them questions answered.
That's a fact, guys. And look, for this month, this month until I change my mind, because Tyshawn be getting on me about this, we are going to do a 20% off your entire order. That's LOVE20. That is LOVE20 for 20% off your entire order. All you got to do is click the link in the bio, the description, the chat. I mean, the link is literally all over the place, and I'm getting ready to pin it in the chat right now.
There you have it, family. Let's actually get ready to get into this episode. Before we do that, we got to talk about what's been happening in the community, y'all, because we have had this series has had a tremendous impact on so many people. And I know this because y'all are not shy to send us an email, all right, to send us a DM. And like y'all said, some people slipping through, sending text messages and giving us calls. And the feedback has been so tremendous on how it's been impacting your lives. And I want to make sure that everybody here does their best to watch every single one of these episodes. It's very important. And in fact, it's some crazy stuff going on, y'all, right now.
It's some real things happening behind the scenes. And guys, if you've seen the video, if you went back and watched it over the past day or so, you'll see some minor edits. Now, this is the thing. It may be a situation where we may be compelled to either make anything from, moderate changes to the video up to its complete removal. So it may be the case where you only got a couple days to watch it. So if you have not already, and we are fighting for this now. Yeah. We are fighting to keep this content up because last Wednesday's episode was truly epic. I think it was one of our best episodes we've ever put out on the platform in our 2.5 years of doing this thing together. But guys, so you really need to go watch that either right after this show or sometime tomorrow. Save it, do whatever you got to do to make sure you get your hands on that content.
The powers that be are trying to have us remove that episode, and for legal purposes we're going to be vague on what's happening as we're working this out right now in real time. But I want y'all to go ahead and check that out or share it with somebody that you know might need that. But family, it's a war. It really is going down out here.
It is. And I know you did a review on this, and I'm gonna bring Sarah in on this in a second, but you actually did a review on that episode on Wednesday. And I'm gonna drop a poll in just a second to check the temperature of the room to see how many people actually took part in that episode. But what are your initial thoughts about kind of how everything went down, specifically last Wednesday?
It really blew me away. Number one, because it came out of nowhere. And I have to give props to my friend Toka from Fit for Purpose and Sarah Aloba, because if it wasn't for the two of them blowing me up as well as helping me get onto the live, I would have never been able to come on. But they are the ones that let me know that you guys were playing the video. Right. And so I tuned in for the whole 4 hours. I'm glad I did, because it was a lot to unpack. It was a lot to learn.
It was 4 hours. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I don't even know. It's so funny. I have no idea how we got into doing 3 to 4 hour episodes, but that's kind of like our thing now. Yeah. And you could literally, you got to take it bite size sometimes. You got to do 30 to 40 minutes every time you watch it. But if you make it to the end, wherever you started at emotionally, spiritually, mentally, you will be better off for it.
Absolutely. I want to ask Sarah too, because I didn't get to check on you, Sarah, because we had an episode this past Wednesday with Tiffany Montgomery and Pastor Kevin Ewan. Did you get a chance to check that episode out?
Sorry, it was breaking up a bit. Do you mind just asking that again?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be patient. Sarah's literally talking all the way from the UK. But we did an episode this past Wednesday with Tiffany Montgomery and Pastor Kevin Ewing. Did you get a chance or opportunity to check that episode out?
Yes, I did. I think I watched up to half of it. I couldn't finish it, but yeah, I did get to check out some of what they were saying.
What was your thoughts on that episode, by the way? I think we might. We probably having a little bit of connectivity issues, aren't we?
So.
Yeah, we having a little bit of connectivity issues. So Sarah, be patient with me because sometimes this can happen as we talking from thousands of miles away right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see. I can see the connection signal here. As it gets stronger, I'm gonna just go ahead and make sure we include you in the conversation because your testimony is needed. Okay. All right, so just be patient with me. Let's actually go right back here
cool.
to you, Naja.
Sorry, I think. Okay, cool.
What'd you say, Sarah? What you got?
Uh-oh.
It's bugging. It's bugging. It's crazy. It's really bugging right now. Go ahead. What you have for Naja?
So Naja, the reason we brought you and Sarah up here both is because you guys both have a testimony in witchcraft, and one of the biggest lessons we learn, especially from speaking to our followers, and just from the few episodes we put out, and why it's important to make sure we're putting out the most appropriate content, is because we got a lot of people right now that's in different places in their lives. They're seeking truth in different ways. They're lost. They're trying to find answers. And when they're in that very vulnerable place, they're a very vulnerable person. And you have a past in particular where you went pretty deep in the game, right? You slid deep into the witchcraft where you would even call yourself a witch. And talk to us about that, because there's probably some young ladies and some young men in that spot right now where they're vulnerable and they're open emotionally. Take me back to that place mentally and emotionally. Where were you at that point where you felt like this was the right decision to make in your life at this point?
It was actually by accident. It was one of those things where I was in a weird place. I think I had just gotten into an argument with somebody. And I don't know if you've ever done this before, but there are a lot of people that look onto their horoscopes in order to do a comparison between the compatibility of you and another person.
Oh, yeah.
Before dating them. And so that was kind of how I started. I went and looked at I went and looked at my horoscope. And while looking at my horoscope was when it was like a little whisper that told me, why don't you go look on YouTube to see if anybody's talking about, your horoscope, and you can better understand it. And so I did. And that's when I realized that it was tarot cards that, where the whole message that you read is coming from. And so I kind of dove into that, and it became very, very, I was obsessed with it. I was waking up to it, going to sleep to it.
The tarot readings.
Yes, on YouTube.
It's so crazy. The tarot cards really go crazy. We were actually preparing for the show a couple days ago, and literally it was these two young ladies that were sitting in this a pavilion where we typically work at, and you just overheard them talking about tarot cards, and the way they would speak about it is it's like really have faith in what was going on. She's like, yeah, she said this and she said that, but it was so much emotion you could overhear in this conversation. And it's just kind of scary to think, that you can have this affliction toward just, I don't even know what to call it, this thing.
Yeah.
And here, but what's even more interesting is that the horoscopes is like a gateway drug into it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that the horoscopes was connected to tarot cards, because it's very culturally acceptable to ask somebody, and probably one of the very first few questions.
Exactly.
What's your sign? First of all, that question is not in the HOTLINE. So you can gladly, and righteously get you a deck.
Is that a red flag if she asks you what's your sign?
Honestly, I
yes,
can't even.
It is.
But because the reality is, I don't even know if our culture even knows that this might be connected to something dark, because I think good people might even ask that, because again, culturally, we just about know some basic things about each one of these horoscopes.
Right.
You know, we know, Cancers, I ain't messing with the Cancers.
Yes.
And I ain't never dating no Aquarius.
Yes.
But again, that actually got you in, you're saying, to the tarot cards.
Yes.
So, okay, you get your deck of tarot cards.
Mm-hmm.
And you start learning and practicing just on YouTube?
Yeah, the first time I actually went and bought, I didn't buy a tarot deck. I actually bought what they call angel cards. I, for some reason, thought that would be better, but it wasn't.
A little bit more Christian. We could put the angel in front of it.
Right. And so I didn't feel right about it. And so I immediately went and threw them away. But I kept listening to them. So I'm still being seduced by the spirit, you know what I mean, to go and buy more. So I did. I went from 1 to like 9. And so I didn't know what I was doing, but I was experimenting and trying to learn as I go. And I was actually praying to Jesus before doing them, thinking it was going to protect me while I was doing.
Oh, so you had an inkling that this was wrong.
I was raised Christian.
Got you.
Yeah.
But you would pray to Jesus before to help you out going down the wrong path.
Exactly.
To kind of protect you.
It was like a little hybrid. It was like a little hybrid. Kind of creating your own religion a little bit.
You know what? I wonder how many people do that. I wonder how many people.
A lot of people.
Literally pray before they do something they know is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, bro. First of all, that's a lot of people. I can imagine. It's a whole lot of people praying before they actually do something that they know they ain't got no business doing. But what's interesting here, let's actually talk about the horoscope aspect, because I still don't think we have context on that. What you got, Ryan?
I want to see if we can check in, because we had Delano work on the sound a little bit. I want to see if we can at least check in on Sarah.
Sarah, we still you there with us?
It's a war.
Nah, Sarah still got some warfare going down on her Wi-Fi. It ain't happening, Sarah. I'm gonna keep checking in with you. Sarah.
Sarah, can you hear her? She's smiling. You can hear us then, right, Sarah?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
It's a little lag.
A little lag. Well, look, we heard from Naja big, and if hopefully this works out for us. Otherwise, Sarah, we're gonna have to figure out we gotta do a solo episode.
Yeah.
But Sarah, let us know what was the catalyst, or I guess what was the thing that got you initially headed toward this kind of the darker spectrum of things spiritually.
Nah, she ain't here.
Yeah, so
Okay.
for me, it was kind of a much longer process that started off when I was young, when I was a teenager, but when I was still Christian, going to church, believing in Jesus. I had a lot of spiritual things happening in my life that, although I had explanations for, I know my pastor did try his hardest to give me explanations. I would see a lot of things. I would see shadows and figures walking around. I still connected to this real quick.
Oh, Sarah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a challenge right now to really hear you very clearly. So unfortunately, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to figure out how to table this here and bring you back on. We got to figure out another time we got the Wi-Fi straight, because I really don't want my people to miss this story. You got a great, incredible story, and I wouldn't want to go ahead and have people or misrepresent that story. So just hold tight for us backstage. We'll see if we can get it together, get it right. But I'm gonna actually keep the conversation pushing here, okay? So with it, Naja, let's actually go here back to you, because when it comes down to catching anybody up that's just arriving in the episode, Naja kind of caught us up on, you got into your horoscopes, it pushed you into the tarot cards, you really still was not necessarily feeling all the way good about it, so you adding a little bit of Jesus and a little bit of tarot all in at the same time.
Yes.
Now, why might somebody, why were you this curious? Like, why were you not just satisfied with where you were and what you were currently getting, and currently serving Christ, your God at that point, why did you feel like you needed something else?
Well, for starters, I didn't have a relationship with him. Like a lot of Christians that go to church and they don't read the Bible. And I was one of those people. And so if you don't have a relationship with God and you don't read the Bible, then you're always going to be searching outside of, going to Christ. And that is exactly what I did. Typically, the issue is that most people, they are impatient, and we want to know now. We want microwave answers or results, and that's typically the reason why most people go into witchcraft, is for that main reason, because we are impatient. And so I was impatient. Typically, whenever we do pray and we ask for certain things, we don't get the answer right away. We have to wait for God to do it on His timing. But yet, I decided that I wanted to. So when I went onto YouTube and I saw all of these tarot card readers, I became subscribed to at least 50 of them, like immediately.
You went crazy with it.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And so everything that I saw, it was resonating with me. And so when you open that door and you see that, okay, there's some truth to this, that's what ensnares you, and that's what makes you keep going. And that's exactly what happened.
When you say it's some truth to it, what specifically do you mean by that?
So, you may actually look at something, or just like if you go to a psychic and for whatever reason, they may say or know something personal about you. And so because there might be 90% truth and 10% lie, you just assume, okay, this is what I need to accept and come into agreement with. But the difference is the source. So they're hearing from familiar spirits. We all have them following us. You know what I mean? They know our bloodline. They know about your grandmother, your parents, or whatever. And so all they're doing is whispering into her ear. She's channeling those spirits. And so that's how she's able to give you that information.
Man, that's so cool. We actually had our stylist. Actually, she's a Christian young lady, grew up Christian her whole life. But she told us in private that when her mom passed away, she had this deep desire to want to speak to her mom. Casually walking down the street, one of the psychics, they charismatically spoke to her, complimented her, kind of brought her into the space. And, next thing you know, they're pretty much having a conversation where they're telling her, look, I'm going to have you talk to your mom. And even to this day, I just spoke to her a couple weeks ago, and she was like, you could not convince her that was not her mom.
Right.
Like, she was like, yo, Ty, it was things that only my mom knew. Like, nobody else on this earth could have known that my mom knew. So I know that I was talking to my mom.
Right.
And then she went, she felt like she got away with something there, but she had this deep desire to go back again. And she went back again.
Yep.
And she went back again. And she went back again. Yep. And it started getting, the things she said she got exposed to at that point, it got kind of crazy. So I see it, when you're saying there's this level of truth to it, there is this reality when you go into it that you flipping these tarot cards, and what the tarot card is showing you is actually aligned with what either will happen or have happened in your life.
Yeah. And typically it's not giving you a whole lot of truth when it comes to what's going to happen in your future. But a lot of times it is giving you more information about what you're currently doing, who you're currently talking to, dealing with. And because it aligns, that's why people open themselves up to it. But the thing is, the messed up part about it is that when you do that, you're actually opening up a curse to yourself. You're like telling the devil, come in. You're opening yourself up spiritually once you come into agreement with that. So I opened a lot of doors. And so when I did that, all of those spirits start communicating with me.
I just get this visual of like the devil like open the door and be like, hey, y'all come through. It's a party in here. Yeah. That's the visual I get from that.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, because, when I see like the ladies doing the tarot readings and, kind of the ladies into these different things, a lot of them are very nice. They seem like sweet people, seem like, doesn't seem like they're evil or, got these alternative motives, or they're backed by this very dark source. So does that play into it? Like, does the actual person that's doing it play into it? Like, do you consider that at all? Like who the information is actually coming from?
So it doesn't matter who it's coming from. It's the practice that's evil. You know what I mean? There are some people who know that they're doing it for an evil purpose, and then there are some people who actually think they're helping people. That was me.
Got it.
You know, I actually thought that I was talking to my angels, my spirit guides, as they call them. And, you know, I didn't know any different. I wasn't an evil person. I never did witchcraft that manipulated people's will. Mm-hmm. I was what you would call a white witch. So I would do certain things like the tarot, the, you know, pendulums, I became certified in Reiki, and it was typically more so for myself. It had nothing to do with anyone else trying to gain somebody else or put evil stuff on other people. So, you know, but it didn't make it any different. It was still demons that I was talking to.
I get it. And I really want to get some feedback from you regarding like how the people around you perceived it when you would introduce them to it. But before we do that, I know I wanted to check the temperature of the room. I dropped that poll. Did you tune into last week's episode with Tiffany Montgomery and Pastor Kevin Ewan? And 80% of people say they did. This is close to 700 votes. Wow. So yeah, so this the series is really going. So we every step of the series, we're getting a little bit deeper in how to protect ourselves spiritually. And I'm gonna get ready to close out this poll. And can we check on Sarah? Because the chat, we about 1,400 people deep in the chat. They're like, yo, we need this, okay? We need this UK flavor too. So let's check on Sarah.
All right, coming to the stage, Sarah. Are you hearing me?
Hey.
It's so
Yes.
Sarah, let me tell you this.
I'm hearing you. Can you hear me?
It's a little delay.
But
it's a little delay.
This never really happens. I'm not really sure what's going on.
What you mean you're not sure what's going on, man?
I'm hearing you guys. Can you hear me?
We sure can. So Sarah, we got to kind of catch up with you a little bit. Let us know, you know, you started kicking it off with kind of how you got into these spiritual practices. So let us know, how did things get started?
Awesome.
Somebody said just fly sis out. We're going to have to fly out.
We got to fly out. This is crazy.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry, Sarah. Listen, we trying, Sarah. We trying. They see us trying. Y'all see us trying, fam? We got to get this message up out of you, Sarah.
Listen.
We're going to make it happen somehow.
Every single time it's come time for me to tell my testimony, there's been chaos. No matter where I've been, there's always been technical difficulties.
Oh, my goodness. I really hate to hear that, Sarah, because I will tell you this, that Sarah's got a truly incredible story that I've heard myself. We're going to figure out how to get it to the people. We're going to figure it out. But just keep staying patient with us, because we're gonna take a stab at this again, Sarah, okay?
It tried to do that to me last week.
Oh, okay. Man, listen. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. All right. So let's actually go into this here. I actually want to go into this here because I'm curious about this part, because this is really what I wanted to talk to Sarah about in particular, because she had a really good story about actually having these different relationships, because that's the thing about it. You start having these relationships with these spirits because they are the ones who are pretty much guiding you and giving you this knowledge, giving you this information, you know, that you become equipped with when you get into this world.
Right.
That relationship that you had, how deep did it go with the spirit that you was really moving with when you was, you know, in the craft?
Well, I mean, I would do tarot readings every day, several times a day.
For other people?
No. Well, I tried to do, I did it for like people that were close to me or friends. I didn't advertise it to do it. But it was one of those things where it was like I looked to it daily for guidance. It even convinced me to drop, because we say Holy Spirit, drop holy and just say spirit. So opening up those spiritual doors, it ended up opening up my ear would start ringing, a very piercing sound. And so whenever I would actually say, spirit, are you here? My ear would start ringing. And it would let me know that it was around. So I had a pretty close relationship, but again, I thought it was my angels. And so
you thought those were angels at the time while you were in it?
Yeah, I did. Because they would do things or give me information that was positive. So you don't assume that it's anything negative. So it would tell me to change my diet, or, tell me to apologize to somebody if I got into an argument. So it was convicting me. So that's how it actually tricks you into making you think that you're actually doing something good, because it's like, oh, hey, it's trying to make me a better person. So a lot of people that go into this, they feel like they're actually becoming a better person, but instead it's the opposite.
Wow. And at this point, you still, even at the deepest level, you still had this relationship with Christ while you were practicing, or did you just at one point completely move away?
I completely moved away. I didn't really have a relationship with Christ. I believed in him, but I didn't have a relationship. I didn't know his word. So to know him is to know his word. I did not know his word. I was too intimidated to open the Bible and talk to him.
But see, here's the thing though. I don't think most Christians are really reading the Bible.
No.
Do you really need to read the Bible to have a relationship with God?
Absolutely.
So if you're not reading the Bible, you don't have a relationship with God.
You do not.
Now why is that?
Because to know him is to know his word. You don't know him or his character if you don't read his word. When we pray, that's us talking to him. But when we read his word, that's him talking to us.
That's true.
So there's no conversation if you're not reading his word.
But this is but people just be sitting down and they said, but God said and God told me. Pastor Ewan just literally talked about how God can talk to you in his dreams, right? Mm-hmm. People always say the Holy Spirit told me this. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily from reading. So if you're, because this is my thing. It's like, it's tricky because I still think we're spiritual beings. Like, for example, at one point we were slaves. Mm-hmm. Right, we weren't even allowed to damn read, right? Like, we weren't even allowed to open the book. So at that point, is it just that all those generations of black people just never had God speak to them?
Well, the slaves, that's going in a whole nother direction.
Well,
they practice witchcraft.
Even the Christian slaves?
Now, the Christian slaves, there were Christian slaves who did have, the oldest Bible is Ethiopian. Mm-hmm. So there was a Bible for them to read. So, I don't know. It's when you go that deep, it's like you can't tell who was practicing what and who was practicing Christianity.
Yeah.
And back then, the Bible that they had, it was manipulated. There was like an actual Bible that slaves had where they took certain things out that they could not read. So, you can still believe in Jesus and he can still give you signs or, dreams or whatever the case may be, but that doesn't mean you know him.
Okay. It's I want to actually go into some of the practices too, because when we were talking before the show, you actually was really putting me on some game that I never knew, especially with how you called it testing the spirit, right? How a lot of these things that we might feel are, I guess just innocent in some ways, are actually connected or even born from these demonic entities. And this part is where it gets really tricky to me. And you even starting back at the horoscopes, the Aquarius concept, the Gemini, the Capricorn.
Yeah.
You told me that actually was born from demonic sources.
Yes.
So give me more information on that.
It was the Babylonians that came up with the zodiac names, the figures, everything associated with that. So that wasn't something that, God created. People like to say, astronomy, were the stars and stuff like that. God gave us those for signs of the times, not for us to associate ourselves with them and our characteristics. So those, each zodiac sign is the characteristic of a demon. Each one of those is a demon, because the Babylonians practiced witchcraft, and they're the ones that it was birthed from. They're the ones that came up with it, and what associates with each sign. So whenever you say, hey, I'm a Capricorn, and let's just say you Google, if you are a Scorpio and you Google the characteristics of a Scorpio, there's not just good things, there's also bad things,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
So we're supposed to be modeling the characteristic of God, right? We're supposed to be acting or living like him. Our characteristics of the fruit is supposed to look like Christ.
Yeah.
But if, let's just say, for example, Scorpio, one of them is rebellion, you know, like.
And you know what's crazy about that is I've had many experiences where I've spoken to specifically women who would like really what's the word, like
defend.
Not that like it was hype to them, like, hey, yeah, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm rebellious, you know, or I'm this, so I'm got a bad attitude.
And that's a lot, and by the way, it's a lot of Christian women that say that, like they like, oh no,
they really claim it.
I'm Scorpio, that's why you going,
that's why I'm feisty or something like that, you know. All kind of unruly stuff going on.
Yeah, you're taking on the characteristic of that demon. When you say I am a Scorpio or I am a Capricorn, those characteristics are characteristics of a demon. So you're coming into agreement with it.
Coming into agreement with it.
Yes.
I do know I am is one of the most powerful things you can say.
Yeah.
And whatever follows that is an extremely powerful statement to your spirit, to your mind, your subconscious, your conscious, and everything else.
They literally create circumstance.
Yes. And wow. First of all, let's drop that question in the chat. I want to see how honest the chat is willing to be. I want to know how many of our members in the chat identify with their horoscope.
Okay, now when you say identify with it, give some more detail. So
identify meaning you actually whatever, you're an Aquarius, you're a Capricorn, you're an Aries, you identify with the characteristics of that sign. You claim those characteristics as a part of your being. Because I honestly know, man, and y'all don't lie now. I should have asked that question before we got into this, because I know how the chat get. It's anonymous, so y'all can keep it real. But this is not meant for judgment. It's meant for us to really understand just where we are as a culture, guys. So I want to get a real good understanding of that.
And roll that by me one more time. Put it in.
So
do you
identify with your, what is that sign? What do you call it again?
Sign.
Zodiac sign. That's the word. You with your zodiac sign. Give me a yes or a no, and keep it all the way funky in the chat. All right. Now, when you start talking about the tarot cards, it's tricky. Let me know you dropped that poll, by the way, Ryan.
I dropped that poll. Let me tell you.
There you have it. The poll has dropped, guys.
I'm laughing because Sarah like, listen, y'all gonna give me the damn show. Okay?
Sarah backstage fighting, y'all. She, as you should. As you should.
I think she hears us now. I think she done moved location. She done restarted her computer. She done got everything going on.
Okay, hold on, wait.
We got the poll going.
We got the poll going. Let me see if this could work, guys. Y'all be patient with us this episode. We trying to make this thing happen.
And the chat is steadily growing.
Yes, it is.
1,700 people in the chat right now. So I mean, y'all are being very patient right now, which we appreciate.
Sarah, you can hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Wow.
I can't hear. It's a little delay, but as long as you can hear me, I feel good. Do you feel good? Oh Lord.
I feel ready. I feel ready now.
Okay, good. So really, every time you ask Sarah a question, you just got to play the It's a War.
I got to.
And then it's gonna slide right in.
I got to.
So Sarah, we got that poll up, okay? And while we running that poll, guys, go ahead and fill that out. We got over 400 votes. Do you identify with your zodiac sign? I already see a bunch. Listen, they need to read the word because there's some straight liars in the chat right now. But I'm not gonna judge y'all. I'm gonna hold my judgment. And Sarah, listen, Sarah, catch us up, okay? I want you to catch us up and let us know. Because I want this to be really the last time I ask you this. How did you get into this type of spiritual experimentation?
Yeah, witchcraft.
Okay, so I want to be specific about the type of witchcraft I got into. So although I started off doing like new agey kind of manifestation type stuff, what I said before we had like the technical difficulties is, since I was a teenager, I'd kind of already started being trained in witchcraft without even realizing, because in my dreams I'd have people visiting me and telling me, okay, this is your first lesson. I'm going to teach you how to levitate. Then they'd come again. This is the next lesson. I'm going to teach you how to cast spells. And this is all whilst I believed in Jesus. And I was quite distressed about this. I'd have dreams of people coming and presenting me human flesh and blood and telling me to eat it. And from that, beginning to have abilities in the natural realm that I didn't have before. So after quite a lot of trauma, I experienced quite a lot of trauma. I've experienced molestation, being I don't want to say the exact word because I know on YouTube you may get flagged, but non-consensual sex, a manager taking advantage of me. So a lot of these things started causing me to become disillusioned with the idea that there is a good God that is protecting. Really, I would get prayed for, but all of these things, the sleep paralysis, the voices, the visitations, it kept continuing to happen. So eventually I started exploring, started trying to open up my third eye, and indeed I started seeing visions and experiencing things from that. As I got a little bit deeper, because I had this desire to be protected, I started doing things like sigils for protection. So these are like drawn symbols that you do that are spiritually charged and that can apparently ward off evil and ward off negativity and all these types of stuff. As I began to study more and more into these things, I started going down what you'd call the left-hand path. So this is what you describe more as Satanism or Luciferianism, things that use taboos that society doesn't like, but it has a lot of information or knowledge and power in it. So as I was in this space, eventually after a while of, with my spirit guides, learning how to work with demons, learning how to summon demons, learning different deities, spirits, how to give them offerings, how to work with them, things like this, I ended up having an encounter with Lucifer. I had a few encounters actually.
Hold on, wait. So we got to get some context on this.
The type of witchcraft that you say I would do is,
and I know it's a delay,
Yeah.
but I want to ask, because that's a very
talking a lot,
important part of the conversation. Because how did you know that was Lucifer? Because that's a bold statement to say that you had an encounter with Lucifer.
Yeah. Yes. So the way that I can explain it is the same way that people can feel presences in their room and know that this is a demonic presence. Like you didn't ask the spirit, like, are you here for good or bad? Like you innately knew. Or for example, when somebody prays for someone and they feel the calming and they know like, oh wow, this feels like God, like this feels good. It's the same way that when he brings his presence into a room, it's even if you don't know the rank and what you'd call, his presence takes up the whole space and the whole room, and you know. It's almost like when he comes in, you automatically know. I've had spirits, or what you'd call deities, when I was in that space, that would enter a room, who they are. And I would have to ask, for example, from my last testimony, if you guys watched it, I shared an experience with meeting or encountering the goddess Aphrodite, who asked me for a very specific offering that when I looked it up, because I was like, Greek gods aren't real. When I looked it up, indeed, the same offering she asked me for is the one that is commonly used, or in the Greek times, they commonly used to give her. So I'm just comparing that to when Lucifer walks in, without a doubt, you are certain. And also, just pulling on a scripture here, when Paul himself like an angel of light, like he presents himself like an angel of light, and knowing that the word Lucifer, right, in the Latin, because that's where it comes from, it is the light bearer. So when he comes in, it's almost like this feeling of complete illumination that fills the whole.
I get it. She's saying that pretty much when the devil show up.
So pretty much that.
you
It
know.
was a feeling and a presence that just took over the whole room. And first of all, just by the way, because it's heavy right now, we doing our best, Sarah. Thank you so much for being resilient around getting this connection together, because you really gave us a ton here, because you pretty much started us into from the journey of the beginning of your faith already being in a rocky place based on your trauma. And based on all the things that you've experienced, you began to question that that a God even existed, because of how unprotected you have been your entire life, which pretty much opened you up to go down the rabbit hole to actually start experiencing essentially, or experimenting, I would say, in your own life, essentially what it seems like you're doing is seeking, trying to find God. And you found what you found. And again, this practice that you were practicing, again, what is this practice called?
And can we get some detail on what New Age is?
That's a good question right
So
there.
Yes. So I was probably what you'd call, so I was a Luciferian, in the sense that I believed in the tenets of what Lucifer represents, and just the idea of the whole Luciferian premise is during the garden situation. So I that Yahweh existed, but I believe that he was the bad guy, essentially. So that Lucifer, when he came in to give the apple to Eve and to Adam, it was the best thing that happened to humanity, because God was trying to keep knowledge and power away from us. So that's kind of what I believed. And then the type of witchcraft I did was elemental witchcraft. So there's loads of different forms of witchcraft. So when people just say, okay, witch this or witch, what are you doing? So an elemental witch is a witch that uses the 4 elements. So I use things like water, fire, earth, air to bring in manifestations and to basically do things. But you have up to 5 key types of witches. And then even in that, you have African witchcraft, you have Asian witchcraft, you have European witchcraft. So all of them are different. They're different.
Wow. I never knew. You really broke down what that Luciferian concept was. I never knew that that's how they looked at the story, even the origin story, which is really, 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 really fascinating. I know you talk about how trauma, and just in general, demons use trauma to access us. And this part is extremely important, because trauma is a part of life that we just can't avoid. So all of us are susceptible to this. But can you just give us some details about how does trauma affect and open you up to these experiences? Uh-oh.
Sorry, you broke up the last bit there. You're asking how does trauma do what?
How does trauma open you up and affect you, and really open you up to demons and these different experiences that you could have?
Okay, so first, if we're looking at demons or the idea of demons, one thing that I think gets Christians is you have a very narrow view of what a demonic experience actually is. So when you look at the root word of demon, or where it began, the word is daimon, and that word doesn't necessarily mean a malevolent being. It doesn't mean something that's outwardly aggressive or explicitly evil or scary. So throughout the ages, you see people dealing with different spirits and different gods and all this type of stuff. And as different scripts began to be written, and more of the Jewish more the Jewish text, you could begin to see the word demon. It means something exclusively evil. So when Paul writes when it's written other nations' gods in the original, now after the Greek version of the Bible is written later on, it means just demons. It doesn't even refer to them sometimes as gods, it just refers to them. Somebody goes through like an experience that's really traumatic, they can meet or encounter a demon that can come to them friendly, like the way that the devil first came to Jesus in Matthew 4, saying, oh, you've been fasting, you're still hungry, why don't you have some bread? You know what I mean? They sometimes come as these experiences where it's like, we want to heal you, we want to help you, we want to help you heal, help you get your own power back. So that's how a lot of people very easily fall into these different witchcraft encounters and all this type of stuff. But how demons kind of get in through that is when people go through trauma, their mind can split. They can go through real experiences that cause them to have these weird personality issues that can cause them to isolate and all of these things. And this experience, sometimes you begin to think that you already have depression, but it amplifies. If you're dealing with unforgiveness, demons and spirits latch on to things like unforgiveness. I've done deliverance sessions where all that needed to happen is somebody needed to forgive, and immediately that demon started spiraling out. The spirit in them started to come out. Sometimes a healing that needed to happen was just a person verbally saying, I forgive the ABCD.
Wow.
And Naja, what's your take on the how trauma can open you up for these different spiritual encounters?
Yeah, absolutely. Typically, whenever you are dealing with trauma, like for example, whenever a child is inappropriately touched, that's a form of trauma, and that opens them up spiritually. There's a such thing as these demons transferring onto you through the trauma. So if somebody is dealing with trauma because their parent wasn't there, the spirit of rejection immediately comes in. So it's just a gateway. Whenever you go through trauma, it's an open door.
That's a scary thing.
It is, because I mean, that's the reality of it is, it's not many people who have not experienced trauma,
right.
You know? And what's really interesting to me is that, you know, we've had a bunch of therapists on the platform, and to some degree, they say the exact same things in different ways, right? Like they might say that because of your sexual abuse as a child, you use sex to cope. It creates these different addictions or these different habits. So somebody might just think it's an addiction that they may need to break, or, you know, this is just a way that they're, you know, coping, where when I'm talking to my, you know, anyone who's spiritual, or my Christians in particular, it's a spirit.
Yeah.
Actually, that's on to you.
It is.
It's a spirit that's on to you, which is interesting. The same concept, it's like the same lessons and principle, but considering that that's a demon, it's interesting because, and by the way, we're doing one of the most powerful episodes. We're going to close out the series on deliverance. We're going to go deep into deliverance, but essentially healing and focusing on healing that trauma actually is one of the major ways, Sarah, based on what Sarah just communicated, to help remove that from your body, remove that demon, that spirit from your body, essentially.
Yes, I do deliverance. I cast out demons. So been doing it for 2 years. And I can tell you that they go through the process of renouncing, which is to break any, you know, spiritual legal, you know, attachment to the enemy. And I mean, the demons come out, literally. So it's necessary, because a lot of times you don't know if it's coming from sins that you did, sins that your parents did generationally, some things that you may not even know is there. So it's necessary.
Now let's talk about this, because when I see Reiki, right? And when I see Reiki happening, it seems like that is almost this different form of deliverance in this way, where you're healing the person's energy, right? Removing the trauma from their body, but in a different way. But you told me earlier that ain't even really what's happened. Break down this concept of Reiki to me so we can understand what Reiki is, because you got certified in Reiki as well, right?
Yes.
And it seems to be becoming very, very popular as well.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts on that?
So, well, basically, first of all, because of the doors that I opened, when I was in my sleep, one of the spirits spoke to me and said, you're going to heal people's energy. I didn't know what that was. So immediately I got up and started searching. for it, and that's when I realized it was Reiki. I immediately found other people that were, because you have to get certified from a master.
Right.
And so I did the classes, got certified, but through the process of getting certified, it's a ritual. And so first you learn the, text, and then they do what they call attunements. So I'm sitting outside in a chair. The Reiki master is doing ritualistic stuff over me. She's drawing over my head, blowing in my hands, drawing Japanese symbols everywhere. And what it's supposed to do is invite in the spirit that assists you with the energy healing.
Wait.
Okay. Wait. That is wild. So you invite the spirit
into you,
inside of you.
Yes, to perform the Reiki on people.
So it's like a form of like possession.
Yes.
I don't even know why you would do that. That's crazy.
Wait. Do the people that's getting involved in it, do they know that that's what's happening?
They do not.
Oh, they think they just get this power or these abilities just from.
So, no, I thought you were talking about the people that's actually getting the services.
Yeah, the people that's getting the services, do they know that they're being possessed, or do they just feel like they're about to get
So the people
healed?
that's getting the services are not being possessed. The person who is getting certified.
The practitioner is being receptive of the spirit to pretty much possess them.
Yes.
To now have this ability to heal.
Exactly. And it's not even healing. I mean, because when you're actually doing a session, we go into, I guess the person's laying on the table, and we stand before we get ready to do it, and we call in our spiritual team, not the Holy Spirit, but these Japanese demons, to assist us with the healing process. And so you don't even have to touch the person. You literally just wave your hand over the chakras, which are the energy centers of the body, which we're not supposed to be manipulating.
Wow.
And you'll feel certain things. It puts them to sleep. They see colors. And even the practitioner will get like psychic, like thoughts about the person. The spirit will tell us stuff.
When you call them, like, what do you? Don't say it.
No.
Oh, okay. but like, what do you say? Is it like
exactly what I just said? You just say, "Hey, I call in my spiritual team to assist me with this healing," and you already have.
I denounce that.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I got something actually pretty interesting for the audience, because we actually have a visual for you guys to actually be able to see it. You sent this over to me so you guys can get a visual of what this looks like, because again, this is a very popular concept. And based on how she broke it down, you got to be able to identify when this is actually going down the line. On cue the tape.
I don't think people really know or realize what real healing work looks like, what it really does to the body, how deep it goes, the layers that healing work has. What you're witnessing here is two of my good sisters doing Reiki work over our attendees for our healing retreat, while I am simultaneously playing the singing bowls to help move and open up that vortex of energy. We remove trauma, years of pain, years of hurt. And a lot of times when the healing practitioner is removing that heavy energy off of someone, it transfers to them and they can feel it deeply within their entire being. And so even the healer has to go cleanse and release and let go of what was taken from you. And so when we do this healing work and we have these retreats, I think it's so very important to see and know what real healing work is.
That kind of gave me chills, though. That's crazy. It was really going down in there. Something was happening because there was a lot of emotion up in there.
Oh, yeah.
So she literally caught that. Like, she went from healing the lady to pretty much in full blown crying and embracing it. Mm-hmm. So, and that was a spirit that moved to her. See,
it's so weird to even explain the spiritual aspect that's going on, because everybody's experience is different. Because you're opening the centers of the body, supposedly to heal them, whether emotionally, and for some people it's physical healing that they think that they're receiving. But while you may get what seems like it's being patched, so it seems like you actually are getting some type of results from it, You're actually just opening yourself up more spiritually for something else that you may not even tie it to that, is taking place. So yeah, it's
now here's the thing, and this might sound crazy, but the person, are they better off? Like,
no.
Because it seems like something left their body, but did the pain actually leave and something else go in there, or did the pain like fully leave their body?
So yeah, it's like an exchange. So while you're thinking that it's being healed because of the experience, the physical experience that you're having, it makes you think that it's being healed. It will patch it. So if you go in there, you may think you felt, your back was hurting. You went in there, got healed from your back. Your back may stop hurting for a period of time, but then now you having crazy intrusive thoughts. You see what I'm saying?
I see.
So
there's a whole finesse game going on there.
It's a trade-off.
Now the thing is, this young lady, I'm sure she posted that, and she truly believes that she is actually healing these women. I mean, it's a whole group of women in there.
Yes.
They all getting down with this energy exchange.
It's a lot of people that's doing it. I mean, you even have to be careful with getting massages, because there are people who are certified in Reiki and they will give it to you without telling you.
They can. How can they do that?
Getting them demonic endings.
Oh my!
Was that a bad joke?
Bad joke. That was a dark joke, y'all.
Oh goodness.
So it's kind of wild because I'm at Juneteenth. Piedmont has a Juneteenth festival this weekend. It's 2 days. Bunch of tents set up. You walk around. They got food trucks. They got all these different things that you can stop by and see. Very cute, sweet lady. Light voice, great energy. She walks by. Hey, giving free massages over here. I'm like, no, thank you. Come on, let me just, come on. Just sweet. And I go over there. I look into the tent because she's just being so nice and sweet. Just come get a card. I grab the card, and that's what I see. I see healing sessions, Reiki, so on and so forth. And that's the interesting thing. I think, I unless I'm gullible, that young lady seems like she's really in this to do good for anybody that comes into her, to comes in there. She wants to service them. She really wants to take care. She wants to heal.
Right.
She might even have that spirit of a healer, truly. Might be connected to her purpose, and this is how she found the way to do it. Is this completely separate from intentions? No matter how pure your intentions is, are you saying there's no way that this could ever truly heal the people that you service?
Never, ever. Because that would be like assuming that the devil can heal you, or that he even wants to. And he does not. No, absolutely not.
I'm just really blown away by that scene we just played. Like that was a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah. It was a lot. But see, it's important that we go over these because there's a lot of things right now, and I think this is probably would all of this go under that umbrella of New Age that we talk about?
Yes, it does.
There's a lot of these things that I'm seeing on my timelines. I'm seeing just around as businesses popping up.
Oh yeah, the shops is open, the crystal shops and all of that, they opening up left and right.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of us don't really understand the spiritual implications of getting involved with these different things. And what yours really driving home, guys, and I think this is so important to understand, we don't know where a lot of these things spiritually originate. Right. Like even down from the physical objects, because you even broke down, we talked about it a bit when Pastor Kevin was on. You did a whole video on waist beads.
Right.
And I like waist beads. I thought waist beads are sexy. When a woman got some nice little waist beads on.
And I thought it was for just like weight management or kind of.
I heard a woman say
that's
that.
What I thought it was for.
Yeah. I mean,
talk about that.
Wait, hold on. Before you do that, let me close this out because we asked the poll pretty much
the zodiac sign,
right? So who was participating in this gateway drug to demonic spirituality? And it looks like, do you identify with your zodiac sign? And only 24, over 1,000 votes, only 24% of people say yes. And I think, I guess we were using identify loosely, but if you typically have conversations about your zodiac, if you claim it sometimes, hey, I'm Aries, so I do this. Hey, you Sagittarius, so you must be like this. Even if you just bring it up in casual conversation, you really are identifying with it. So I'm not sure how accurate that was based on that, but we do have some people that at least identifying with it, which is why we bringing it to the conversation today.
That's interesting. Okay.
I mean, it has to be more people than that simply because I would say about half the young ladies I dealt with in the past, at some point, the zodiac sign come up. Probably more than half.
You're dealing with them demons, though.
No. I'm truly changed. I'm not dealing with that. That's a red flag to me now.
It should be.
It's a red flag.
Yes.
No, you go way too hard in facts. I'm honestly, even before I knew that it was connected to anything demonic, I just thought it was just so crazy to me how you would go so deep in justifying all of your personality traits by the zodiac. I just thought that was an excuse not to change a cop out anyway. But let's go. Let's actually transition over to the waist beads, though.
Okay.
What did you educate us that Pastor Kevin ended up reposting about these waist beads?
Yeah. So the waist beads, of course, they aesthetically look nice, and as you said, you told me that people feel that, or you felt like they were sexy for women.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they originated from the Yoruba tribe in Africa. And so the Yoruba people, they worship multiple gods. And the purpose behind them when they created them was it represented like their economic status. They used it for fertility, for healing, for sexuality, for protection, for wealth. And so when you're using physical objects like this for a spiritual purpose, and you already know that they worship in 401 gods, lowercase g, then why would you want to come into agreement with that type of cultural practice?
So, man, it's kind of crazy. So you saying essentially it came, I just really hate to think, because I started out, a part of my journey learning and seeking truth, getting woke and getting conscious. In the woke conscious community, we learn to really respect and show love to the ancestors, right? And it's just really, it sucks to really think that a lot of what was being practiced is connected to things that are demonic. That actually, that really does almost hurt my connection. It's almost confusing, almost from an identity perspective, from like a physical bloodline perspective.
Yeah.
To think that like your bloodline was connected to these things when you want to hold your ancestors in high regard.
Right.
But everything I hear about African spirituality is connected to that. I want to actually do a whole episode on, really sourcing your, the balance between your spiritual and physical identity, because
and your ancestry.
And your ancestry and your bloodline, because I just assumed, especially when I was in that phase, anything that comes from the motherland is better for us than what we getting right here.
And that's the problem. That's why so many people are falling into these practices of African spirituality, because they feel like they're supposed to go back to their roots,
I get the sentiment, though, because when you think of Christianity, you think of white. Like, even when I, think of Jesus, the first image popped in my head, he's white. That's the first image that pops in my head. And it's not because that's what I want to think. It's just because that was the image that you've seen over and over and over and over and over again. So I just have empathy for those people who are like, hey, I can't get with this because of the imagery that's in my head, and because I don't feel very spiritually, or I don't feel ancestrally connected to it. So I understand, you know what I mean? And because we even have a lot of people when we have these conversations, they're like, yo, I rock with y'all, but this is the white man's religion. You know,
which is crazy.
So it, it just sucks, that when they go start digging into these different things, a lot of them end up stumbling upon witchcraft. Unfortunately,
I ain't gonna lie though. It's funny. That's why it's important to read the Bible for yourself too. Thankfully, I did grow up in a house. I grew up in a house seeing a black Jesus with dreadlocks on the wall. So we grew up like it was a real gangster looking Jesus in the house that I grew up. Masculine. Black and masculine looking version of Christ that we saw, which I think is very important.
Yeah.
With how you kind of connect and almost see yourself in God, which is another really strange psychological image. You really do. But it's funny actually reading Matthew for myself for the first time.
Like,
Jesus sounded like he got some dreads when
he
you actually read the text.
He had to be black.
Or just man, he wasn't soft. He didn't have them soft rosy cheeks. I tell you that, because he He was it wasn't nothing soft.
He was well tanned. So had a lot of melanin. Spent a lot of time outside. No sunscreen needed.
Oh my goodness.
So you know, it's interesting as you break this down, because what are some, you know, other things that you might think that we just generally need to watch out for with things that are catching popularity on social media, things that, you know, we're probably regularly running into at the shops or on a day-to-day. Is there anything else that we may not have covered that you think we need to talk about here with the audience today?
Well, for some odd reason, I don't know why people do not want to let go of yoga. Like Christians. I mean, I literally just saw a post yesterday that I reposted where someone who was practicing yoga was letting them know that, you know, the goddess aspect of it and what's related to it, and that each pose with yoga, you are channeling a Hindu god by the name of Shiva. I mean, and you can tell them that this is not a workout. It's not a stretching situation, but it's actually a spiritual practice. And they're like, oh, well, you know, I'm not doing it for this purpose, so I'm just going to say Jesus and I'm going to keep doing it. So, you know, yoga's popping up everywhere.
It is.
Yeah.
Kids are doing it.
But what are the like the spiritual implications that come with practicing yoga?
You literally you are channeling. This is a form of worship. So with each pose, it's a form of worshiping that Hindu god. So you're literally opening yourself up. Yoga means to be yoked with. You're joining yourself with the Hindu god. So there's no way that you can do yoga without yoking yourself to the deities assigned to it. It's a spiritual practice.
I've heard some things about yoga. I can't remember the guy who he was actually a Satanist. And he has all of these viral videos online talking about how yoga is really toxic.
Yeah.
I want to read a couple of these super chats because Sarah sent me a message. She wants to chime in on this African ancestry.
Let's do that.
So let me read a couple of super chats, and we're gonna bring Sarah in to chime on that. Where we at with these super chats?
You got them?
I got a little lost. Help me out.
I got you here. Let's start off here, my man Eugene Steele. I wanted to ask the witch who was on the show, what was her position on manifestation and affirmations? Now I want to ask both of you ladies the same question. What is your position on manifestation and affirmation?
I like that. So hold that one. Hold that one real quick.
That's a
and
great
shout
question,
out,
Eugene.
Yeah, that's a great question. And shout out to all the new members. Shout out to, oh, wow, this is incredible. Janelle has officially hit 1 year rocking with the campaign.
That's the first member that hit a full year.
It is.
Janelle, our moderator, big shout out to you. Much love.
Sarah's story is so deep, dense, and intense. I love to see her in person on the live show or virtually on a special episode. Her transformation story based on this backstory has to be incredible. Okay, so all right, Janelle, look, Janelle need to hit that super chat so we can contribute to the campaign to fly Sarah all the way
from
out
the UK.
To the UK. We got to start looking up tickets right now. Shout out to Manifest You. Funny, Manifest You. He says, it's crazy. Never thought I realized that we are living in a real life version of Harry Potter. Witches, wizards, spells, and hexes. The industry waving this stuff right in our faces. It is.
Wow.
Because I've been seeing that like these concerts. They're saying like they're opening these spiritual portals and this type of deal. All like the Travis Scott concert and everything that happened there.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of things that are literally happening.
Yes.
And when you see these posts, I just don't think all this stuff is coincidence. Like, all of this stuff matching up, because I do understand it's conspiracy theories, but some of this stuff is just way too uncanny to be like some fakeness. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's keep it moving. Bay Baddie. Shout out to Bay Baddie. What about people that request witches to do black magic or love spells on other people?
Let's save that too.
Okay.
So we got two we need a table here because let's actually keep it rolling on getting
Sarah in on this African ancestry. Let's bring Sarah real quick. Shout out to all the new members.
Sarah, you ready to go?
It's a war.
Uh-oh. When they start looking for
She's
us,
ready.
I get nervous.
Let us know, Sarah. Let us know what's going on with this African ancestry.
Okay. Yes. So real quick, I actually wanted to touch on the African spirituality. And I think one of you said a phrase that, every time we look into African spirituality, it's a bit sad because it's always attached to witchcraft. I think that as people, or as African, or people who are derived from Africa, right? We have ancestry that are African, and we have platforms. I think that we need to start flipping or changing the conversation. This is my personal opinion. Reason being, whenever we say African spirituality, but when you look at Christianity has a lot of African influence in it. If we keep allowing the narrative to be told that the white man brought Christian, acknowledging that Christianity touched Africa, even in Acts. In Acts, you see the Ethiopian, forget where he's from. You see an African man who was actually touched by Saint Philip. So I think that we need to change this conversation and recognize that Christianity is a form of African spirituality. One of the oldest church fathers was an African man from Ethiopia. So that's just what I want to touch on that part.
No, that honestly, that is a mindset shift.
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually an incredible point, because when I think about Christianity, I don't think about an African religion. I don't at all. And I don't know if that's right or if that's wrong, but that's not the first thing that comes to my mind. And a lot of what we're reading, even when we in Matthew right now, is taking places on the continent.
And I think because what mostly we've learned was that Christianity was weaponized against us
and brought to us by the Europeans.
Right.
So that's pretty much the narrative we pushed. And Sarah, you're pretty much saying that we need to change the way we see that and actually look at Christianity as an African religion. Uh-oh. Sarah, can you hear me?
It's a war.
Lord. I was excited about that question too.
I know.
I was excited about that one.
Really.
But to be honest, we're gonna do a whole episode on that one.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
I want to go 10 levels deep. You can hear me now, Sarah? What I was asking, Sarah, is should
Yes,
we
I can hear you
actually
now.
look and consider Christianity as an African religion itself? Is that how we should look at it?
Sorry, you're asking if that's how we should look at it, what I just said. You were breaking up with your
Yes.
question.
Yes, that's what I said.
Yes. I really do think that we should consider changing the narrative, especially if we have the platform to do it, because the history is on our side. The idea that this was brought in to the whole of Africa and also was first developed by African thinkers, like I just said, the early church fathers. Some of them were African men who sat down in these congregations to teach and to explore the deity of Christ in the world, to steal everything and then also steal Christianity from us, repackage it and give it to our young people, telling us that we've been brainwashed to believe in Jesus. And then we come and we also say, oh, African spirituality is a demonic. We are helping the other side.
Understood.
Not all African spirituality is of Christ, is good. I recognize that a lot of it has weird associations, but you can't take Christianity out of African spirituality. I don't think it's fair.
That is a very interesting claim. Listen, you giving me a lot of ideas, Sarah, because I really want to dive into that, because it's one thing to find, the deep depths of the spiritual truth, which is I think what we really go into, but that historical truth as well is what keeps some people just completely away from it, and that's a hard but very important conversation to have that we're gonna dive into. But how you feeling right now? Do we want to jump to the commercial break real quick before we actually keep going into it? Because I got some things we getting into tonight.
Yeah, man, that almost slipped me. Good call on that one.
No, I got you. Y'all be patient here, because I got something for you guys. Me and Ryan both have something for you guys that you want to know.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So shout out to BetterHelp. Go ahead. Oh, Lano is ready with the overlay. Shout out to Lano.
There we go.
Guys, this year has gone by so quickly. What's something you're proud of in 2024 so far? When life goes fast, it's important to take a moment to celebrate your wins and make adjustments for the rest of the year.
Yes, guys.
I think that's something that me and you really got to work on.
We really got to work on that, y'all, because listen, therapy can help you take stock of your progress and set achievable goals for the next 6 months. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. All right.
Facts. So, guys, if you're thinking about starting therapy, start with BetterHelp. And it's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. So absolutely no excuses, okay? Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time with no additional charge.
So, guys, listen, take a moment, all right? Visit BetterHelp.com/initiate today, and we got you. You're going to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/initiate.
And very easy, guys. I'm ready to drop that link in the chat as well in the description and the comments. So everywhere you need to find it, it's going to absolutely be there. Shout out to this episode sponsor, BetterHelp.
Nice.
Incredible, guys. So I want to actually go ahead and shout out to anybody in therapy, by the way. If you in therapy right now, drop a me in the chat. All right, we need to be working on it. Y'all hearing what the trauma opening us up to right here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, therapy is going down. I think it's a lot of the initiatives in therapy right now.
No, it is, man.
Yeah.
We run into some of the most incredible. I love running into my initiates, y'all. Y'all know we here in Atlanta. So if you here in Atlanta, it's a high likelihood that if you somewhere in Midtown-ish area, you might run into myself and Ryan.
And they always say, I don't want to cut you off. They always say a few things. They say, I got back in church.
Mm-hmm.
I started going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped chasing women.
Yep.
I started pursuing my purpose.
Yep.
And one of the ones we're really hearing lately, we just heard this past weekend, is
what's that?
I broke that soul tie. Nice. So if it's one of those 5 things, I guarantee we're gonna hear from the initiates.
Yeah, man, and that's beautiful to know that y'all watching this and actually taking action on this stuff. It's not just entertainment, right? I understand you're gonna be entertained, but this is edutainment, baby. We want both happening and taking place and coexisting all here and Hardly Initiated. So big shout out to the family on here, and let's actually go back to this, because speaking on personal development, one thing that I am a fan of, and it's actually rumored that I could potentially be opening myself up to as well, is meditation. In one of our earlier episodes, I'll just keep it at that, it was rumored that meditation could actually be witchcraft. Okay? Now, personally, I love meditation. I feel like it relaxes me. I feel like as a creative, as an entrepreneur, my thoughts are always all over the place. I feel like it calms my mind. It untangles my brain. I feel like it lets me sit back and reflect on my thoughts and see where my thought track is, to take log of all these thoughts that's happening in my mind. And just in general, I feel like when I get out of it, I feel my head feels lighter. I feel more clear, and I feel ready to take on the world. But I'm hearing that that's not really what might be going down.
Exactly.
In this meditative practice that's happening here. So explain to me here what's going on with meditation.
Well, I was going to say it's very simple, but it's obviously not, because a lot of people are doing it. I was doing it when I was in New Age, but we have to remember that Satan is a counterfeit for everything. Okay. So whatever God says, Satan is going to make a counterfeit for it. So the word of God says that we are to meditate on the word. That means you meditate on scripture. You focus on, like you said, you clear your mind. Your mind is clouded. You got all this stuff that's going on. You get scripture that's specific to what you're dealing with, and you meditate on that. You think about that throughout the day, and you believe that God is going to do those things through his word. But when you clear out your mind, which is what the enemy wants you to do, and it's idle, there's nothing there, then intrusive thoughts come in. You're allowing the enemy into your mind instead of the opposite.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So meditate on the word.
Yes.
So I guess from a functional aspect, because that don't even seem relaxing to me. Because it sounds, because I feel like when I meditate on the word, now I'm back to thinking.
But exactly what you just said, it doesn't feel. That's what gets us in trouble. We always focus on what we're feeling rather than what we should actually be doing.
Okay.
What are the results you're going to get? Do you want a result that's actually making you feel good, but in turn you're actually becoming worse spiritually? That's because that's what you'll be doing.
And just for context, when I meditate, I try to just sit back and relax and almost take a third party to my thoughts, and not actively think, but obviously, especially if I haven't meditated in a while, my thoughts are all over the place. So it probably takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to just, it's almost like when you shake a snow globe and then it's all over the place, and it takes about 15 minutes for it to settle. If I'm regular, it probably takes about 3 to 5 minutes for it to really settle, and then I experience a level of calm. But what you're saying, because I feel like the thoughts already seem kind of intrusive when I'm thinking about all these thoughts, they already look kind of crazy as hell what I'm thinking about. But you're saying that at that point of peace and emptiness, I'm now open to receive from other intrusive.
Yes. Wow. Think about it. When you've meditated, have you had thoughts that have come into your mind that wasn't godly?
I thought that was just always there.
No. It was the enemy implanting that into your mind.
Wow. Ryan looks pissed about that.
No. Just get some context.
It's, man. Because and there's no way to not be protective. Because I guess what we need to have a whole class on what meditating on the word is. Because honestly, I don't know what that is. And the reality is that I never went to church and the church was like, all right, today we meditate on the word. Because the reality, here's the thing. Now that I think about it, I didn't learn to meditate from Christians. So I also would say that as well. I actually forgot where I learned how exactly to meditate. But I know I've always been an avid reader. In most success books, you'll find consistently that meditation is important for your thought track. That's in just many books that you'll read on success.
But a lot of those books, for example, like if you say Think and Grow Rich, stuff like that, you got to look at what are these people, what is their spiritual practice, what do they believe? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these self-help books are rooted in other, spiritual practices. It's teaching you that you are a God, that you are in control, that you are divine. So it doesn't teach you that you're supposed to look outside of yourself to Jesus. Yeah. But they teach you the opposite, that you're in control.
And you know what? Let's actually go back to the question, because the brother said because another thing they also speak on regularly is manifestation and affirmation. In most success books you look at, you'll see those manifest, because manifest in my mind is taking something from your thought realm here into this physical realm, which I think is a pretty, great thing to do, because when I'm even thinking about we're to bring heaven here on earth, right? I'm thinking that's like the heaven, we're bringing it here on earth. In my mind, I thought that was a form of manifestation, right? But if we're saying, manifestation, and Sarah, I'm gonna let you chime in on this too. So if you're hearing the question, I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. Manifestation and affirmation, is that something that we should be avoiding, or what is that unhealthy as well, or considered unhealthy?
Yes, we should be avoiding it. It's law of attraction. So the thing is that, again, it goes back to what you want. It takes God out of it. And of course I'm talking to believers, you're supposed to be surrendered to his will, not your will. So with law of attraction, it's, hey, what do I want? And I'm going to do certain things in order to manifest it and bring it to me. So, for example, vision boards. People use vision boards. They put what they want in their life on a board, plaster it on the wall, and then they want God to come into agreement with what they want, rather than you asking God, what is your will for my life? You know what I mean? So that you can be making sure that you're living his will and not your own. Because truth be told, we don't really know what we truly need.
But doesn't God give you your vision? See, but see, this is the thing. Because honestly, no, I've had many pastors come on here and they say, do not mess with a man without a vision. So if women are all saying, Christian women, that I want a man with a vision, what vision do they want? Do they want?
His vision needs to align with God's vision for his life. That's the difference. Because if you're a Christian and you're going to marry a man who is a believer, his head needs to be Jesus. His head needs to be, needs to be God. So that you know that whenever there are situations that's going to happen in the household, that he's going to him for the household. That he's not going to use his own, human thoughts and feelings, but he's going to go to God and get direction for the family. That's how it's supposed to go.
Man, it's... I'm gonna be very honest. We're gonna have to do a whole show on this.
Yeah, because I honestly, I really do have a lot to say about this, but
I can see you thinking over there real hard.
Yeah, because I definitely get my meditation on. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just some things I really need to work out these thoughts before I share them. To be honest with you.
Okay.
But meditation, I think that's just one of I consider my lifesavers. So when I meditate, I do seek to clear my mind, and I probably got some very alternative thinking when it comes to heaven and God, because I do believe that God is without, like, outside of you and within. So I got like I said, I got some very alternative opinions. I'm gonna just work out of my mind first.
I'm gonna have to do a deliverance on both of y'all.
So, I think this is very important too, because I do believe, like, to some degree, like, it's like I have to work in this world. I have to work. So it's because it is faith without works, and I have to work towards a vision. So to some degree, it's good to have a vision in my head, but I guess when I take it out of my head and put it on a board, I guess in that way, or is it that the vision board itself is wrong, or is it the vision board without consulting and making sure that the vision board is not outside of God's will? Or is it that all vision boards are bad?
Well, vision boards in general originated through the law of attraction. That's where it came from. That's where, and I do see people that, they have boards and they put scriptures and stuff like that on it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because they're not using the board to put up on the wall in order to think that it's going to draw those things to them. That's typically what they're doing. They put them on the wall because they think it's drawing those things to them so that they can have them. But God isn't in it. They haven't gone before God for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you just throwing stuff on the board and just think it's gonna come to you, I think you just missing a whole, 2/3 of the equation, because I do think that thoughts, words, and actions create circumstance. And when I think about the parable of the sower, and any way I look at that, because it like the parables that always meet you exactly where you at, and any way you interpret that, it does come down to thoughts, words, and actions. So if I start with this vision, and then I continue to put my thoughts behind it, but I also work toward it, right? And I only speak in things, I only structure the things that I speak and the things that I consume to achieve this, then God willing, I'm going to achieve. Now, anything that God lays on me in between, I'm going to be receptive and accepting of that. And to me, that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to do the best you can with what he provides you. Now, if I put on the vision board that I want this multi-million-dollar house, and God blesses me with a $100,000 house, I'm not pressed about it, right? I'm blessed because this is what he has given me, but I don't think you can achieve those things without actually having a vision for it. And I think that whatever vision that I have, I think that God has given it to me. Now, if I work toward it, it's going to evolve, right? Because I remember.
Now, I wouldn't say whatever vision.
Well,
I don't think
right.
whatever vision you have.
Not whatever vision. Right.
You got some crazy visions.
Yeah.
All right?
The noble visions, the wholesome visions.
And not everybody even has a relationship with God for those visions to be coming from him in the first place.
Now, see, that's a really great point as well, because if you have no even concept of God itself, matter of fact, the whole concept even pisses you off, which I know a lot of people in that place, right? You got a lot of people who got a way different relationship with the whole concept of God itself. I can imagine that, they pushing their wheel.
It don't even have to be that, though. I mean, you could be somebody that's just living in sin who opens the door to the enemy. He can implant his vision for you instead of it being God's vision. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't have discernment, you won't know, okay, is this the devil's vision or is this God's vision for me?
And let me tell you, first of all, this is an extremely important conversation,
Yeah,
especially for those people who are very serious and intentional about their personal development. And affirmations, okay? Affirmations. Please don't tell me affirmations.
Hold on, before we get to affirmations, get Sarah to speak about this meditation.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
she might got a different perspective.
No, this was visions, like having vision. Was it meditation?
Well, to me, I think they
Manifestation.
all kind of in the same realm, and I think people are having a hard time. You know, people want to do it, you know, and I don't think people always do it the best way. But that's a whole nother conversation that we can open up. But yeah,
meditations, manifestation, visions. I want to get your take on this, Sarah. Help us out. What's the right way to go about this? Uh-oh. Sarah, you in there? Sarah, stuck.
You know what?
All right. What you about to do?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's actually just move to affirmations right now. Sarah, we're gonna get you in the conversation when you're ready. Give me your thoughts on affirmations.
So affirmations is very similar. You know, I used to do affirmations. I would, you know, walk around and through my house and affirm certain things that I thought that I wanted or needed, and those things did not come to pass for me. You know, a lot of people will say I do affirmations, and when I do it, it comes to pass. But they like to mix it by saying, okay, God, you know, there's power in your words, which there is. You don't want to say certain things that's going to curse you. But then again, with affirmations, I'm just very careful because when I came out of New Age, I was doing affirmations and they all are wrapped up in the same thing. Unless you are affirming what God has said, unless you are affirming God's word, why not do affirmations that include his word? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I'm thinking about, because different people dealing with different things, right? I'm thinking about, like, you know, somebody that might be struggling with, you know, thinking that they're beautiful. You know,
what does the Bible say about a child of God? That's what I'm saying. That's what they need to look up. What is scripture that tells me what Jesus thinks of me, his daughter or his son? That's what you should be meditating and affirming. You see what I'm saying? The problem is we always like to go outside and look for everything else rather than everything being in that Bible. Everything you need is right there.
So pretty much, and honestly, I don't even think that's a bad idea, especially, I think it's I mean, especially now that I'm in there, it's some extremely powerful verses all throughout.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure you can pretty much wrap any verse into an affirmation that will be pretty powerful. But just in general, do you really think that someone probably telling themselves, like, you know, a very popular one, you go to the money community, the finance community, you know, money flows to me easily and in abundance. You know,
I used to have that.
Money flows to me easily and in abundance. Because too many of us, we have these poverty-stricken mindsets. You know, where we have a weird relationship with money. You know, we hate rich people, but we want to be rich.
Right.
That's not really working, right?
Right.
Double-minded man will never receive blessings from the Lord. So with us, do you think that you just saying it's a risk, or that's just something that we probably should not be doing in general?
Well, think about it. There's a lot of people who don't need to have a certain amount of money, or it could ruin them, kill them. Not everybody knows how to manage it. So if the enemy knows that you want money bad enough, he's going to send opportunities your way that is not from God.
Yeah. You got to be careful too. You just got to be careful, because I'm thinking about this was a period where I got so heavy with affirmations. You know, I mean, I was in it, and I used to have about 4 Bible verses that I used to recite in the morning, and then I used to hit it with my affirmations right after. And most of the affirmations was actually, all of them was pretty good except for this one. I used to say every morning. I probably did this for like a year. And I used to say, I easily attract and have sex with beautiful women.
What?
Dead serious. That was crazy. Let me tell you something. That affirmation brought so much toxicity to my life.
I bet it did.
It was nuts. And I think that a lot of times, because
that's when Ryan was red pill.
That was, man, let me tell you, I was deep in. And it actually used to make me feel like very confident and very powerful. And once I started to achieve the things that I would state every morning, I realized that one in particular, I had to remove it, because it was like, when you start putting yourself out there like that, man, you bring a lot of trouble to your doorstep. So I do believe like the I am is of God, and I think that's very powerful. But I think you if not used properly, you can have these very selfish thoughts, and you can attach whatever you want to on there.
Exactly.
And that's really where I was. So I do think affirmations, and I know this might be against, you know, a lot of things, but I do think they work. And I think that if you do them properly, I think that you can bring some blessings into your life. But that's just my personal opinion about that.
And that's why too. But see, the whole point of this whole conversation, if you notice, we haven't even been saying that a lot of these different things don't work.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
We've actually been saying they do.
They
work.
all work, but you know, what's the repercussions behind it?
I forgot what we was just hanging with my boy Jalil the other day, and he actually really made a really great point. It was a verse from Psalms, you know, because he said, I can't remember, but the premise of it was the verse would pretty much state, God, don't bless me, you know, with more money, pretty much too much money that would make me a sinner, or too less money that would make me a beggar. Essentially, just give me just exactly what I need and what I'm prepared for. If anybody knows that verse, let me know which one it is. But I think that's good game, you know, because I do think that there is some level of, you know, you wanting to, you know, conquer your weakness, your flesh, and your lower self, and we talk to ourselves in this way that's empowering, but is it fueled by pride? You know,
Right.
Is it fueled by ego?
Exactly.
You know, is it fueled by things outside of what is righteous and what is good?
Right.
You know, have you been bullied your whole life?
Right.
And now you're speaking these things into you to now make you a bully.
Right.
You know, or putting things into your life that will actually turn you into a monster because you haven't
Exactly.
learned to manage the little you have.
Exactly.
So I do think that there's a lot of truth in making sure you are praying for exactly what you need and where you are.
Exactly.
And not outside of that. So that's I can 100% understand that. And this is important too, man, because it's interesting for those of us who have actually even been intentional and who have read books, who have, you know, wanted to, you know, do good for themselves, their family, break curses, which is why we're reading these books on money and finances in the first place, because many of us came from pain and poverty, and we don't want to experience that and give that to the next generation. So we really just out here trying to figure it out.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it might have been laced with a little bit of miseducation. It's a tad bit of miseducation might have been tied up in there. And that's why I think these conversations are really important when you start to mix faith and finances and faith and money and faith and just how you how control you are, or how am I trying to say this? Faith and your desire to control this experience, because I think that's one thing that those books really teach you is how to control your life.
Yes.
100% upon you. And it's interesting when you think that some things you might not be ready for, that you might be putting yourself in. And that's a really interesting, you know, line, balance and delicate balance, because I guess it's my pride, but I try to think that I'm ready for whatever.
Exactly. But that's everybody's issue. You don't know exactly what you're ready for. You know what I mean? And you don't know what's going to come with that could make the situation worse. So, yeah.
This is hella interesting. What I want to do actually is I want to actually, let's go ahead and start bringing the family into the conversation here.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna open up the phone lines, and I'm gonna drop that link in there.
Yes.
And while I drop that link in there, let's see we can get some super chats in.
And by the way, we doing a giveaway tonight. So let's tell everybody about the giveaway that we're doing tonight, guys, because in here we have been blessed enough to bless you guys with 5 signed copies from Witchcraft to Righteousness by the sister here sitting with us, the evangelist, Naja Alston here. She's going to bless us with 5 signed copies. So all I need you guys to do is go right down into the link in the description. Make sure you go ahead and fill it out. It's probably going to take you about 15 seconds. And we're going to make sure we send 5 copies out to the initiates and to the family tonight. So go ahead and make sure you fill that joint out below.
Big facts. And just a reminder, guys, we went ahead and sent out those emails regarding the last giveaway, because we're giving away 10 books from the Year of the Bride and 10 books from Pastor Kevin, The Prayers That Work. So you should have gotten your emails. So check your emails to see if you were one of the lucky giveaway winners. So go ahead and get your preferred shipping address and get the books out to you literally this week. And I am dropping the link right now because, like Tyshawn stated, we're giving away 5 from Witchcraft to Righteousness by Naja, Alston, our lovely guest right here in front of you. And yeah, fill it out. Takes like, I don't know, 20 seconds to fill out, and we'll email you the next couple of days to see if you won one of those. It's gonna be signed, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Woo!
Excellent. I like that. I like that.
I love it. Let me see. Sarah's backstage. If you can listen, if you can hear me, Sarah, just give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up to let me know that you can hear me, so I know if this thing is working. Okay, Sarah can hear me. Sarah, I want to bring you in this conversation here.
2,000 people in the chat, by the way.
Yes, guys. So, did we drop the initiation hotline?
Yep, just drop the link.
It's the initiation hotline, family.
Hotline, please.
All right, so y'all can come backstage here. Y'all see the conversation tonight. All right, it's from Witchcraft to Worship. So we didn't hit all things from divination to waist beads to Reiki. All forms of these alternative forms of spirituality are here. If you guys have any questions that you want to bring, this is a very important conversation, because this is a conversation that you're not really going to see much in the church. I've been recently introduced to these conversations myself. A very new piece of knowledge for me, but very important. Please come backstage if you guys have any questions that you'd like to bring, because I want to go ahead and start bringing people up here to have some combos. But Sarah, I want to get your thoughts on this. Can you please give me your thoughts, Sarah, on what your thoughts are on just manifestation and vision? Is this something that we should be avoiding? Is this something that we should be doing? What's your thoughts? You gotta be kidding.
It's a war.
All right.
There she is.
All right. Sarah. Please tell me you can hear me, Sarah.
All right, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
We can hear you, Sarah. Let's hurry up and let me get this question out before you go out again. Look, manifestation. Us setting and having our own visions, our own vision boards. Is this something that we should be doing or avoiding? Oh no, I think she froze again.
It's a war.
We're gonna have to put her backstage.
Yeah, bring
it's
call
okay.
up. And maybe we can do something special, because this is just bugging out. Maybe we can get Sarah in some kind of other situation tomorrow even. I'm open to doing that tomorrow, where we can get the other half of this story. I know I'm putting a lot on us right now.
Hold on now, player. Hold on, player. No,
Yeah.
Sarah, we'll talk to you after the show, and we'll try to figure this thing out, okay?
Yeah.
We'll figure this thing out.
Let's bring on a call. Let's see if this issue is persistent. It's just a UK thing right now.
Let's do it. We got Tiffany backstage coming up on here. Tiffany, what's up with you?
Hey, what's up, y'all?
What's up, Tiffany?
Hello.
If you can, give me your age, your location, and your question.
So my name is Tiffany. I am 37, and I am in Orlando, Florida right now.
Nice.
There you have it.
So I really don't have a question per se, but I wanted to touch on something that you talked about as far as intention, because you made a statement, Tyshawn, that you said when the girl was doing Reiki, you said, she really thinks that she's healing people. She really thinks that she's doing something good. Well, ignorance is no excuse of the law. If you break the law and you're ignorant of it, you are still held liable. In the Bible, specifically in Leviticus 5:17, it says, if anyone sins and does what is forbidden and in any of the Lord's commands, even though they do not know it, they are guilty and will be held responsible. So if you are doing something that is quote unquote spiritual, and you are claiming that you are doing this under God, that you have God's permission to do it, you better know what you're doing, because if you are ignorant of something that you are breaking God's law against, you will be held responsible, especially if you are also leading other people into that ignorance. So I just wanted to make that statement.
That's
Very
a good
true.
one.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Tiffany set me straight.
I am delivered.
I know. Look, I understand.
Shout
I
out to
understand.
Tiffany. I'm gonna read the super chat before you bring up somebody real quick. Tiffany, we appreciate you.
Much love to you, Tiff.
Bye.
And shout out to Janika. She says, "Can we get Tiffany Montgomery, Tiffany Buckner, and Kevin Ewan together on a panel one day? It will be lit and very insightful."
That's like the Avengers.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, guess what, Janika? We actually got a special surprise in store for you because this Thursday, or not Thursday, Wednesday. I'm tripping.
You gonna let them know? You gonna let them know now? You gonna let them know now?
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. Let them know.
This Thursday, guys.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. Well, I don't know why I keep saying Thursday. It's the demons. This Wednesday, we actually got Tiffany Buckner and Tiffany Montgomery live this Wednesday. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's how we closing out the. You listen.
The spirit. Yeah,
that's how we closing out the series.
It's really crazy.
Side by side, the Tiffany. It's Tiff squared.
And the spiritual generals now at this point, they just make their own schedule. They just say, "Hey, look, we pulling up," and it's like, all right,
no facts.
Let's do it.
Right? Yeah. They're like, by the way, we haven't even told Tiffany Montgomery to come. She just pops up to the studio and we just plug a mic in and say, "Come on, we know what's going down."
Right. And we actually gonna be at Covered by God too. Hopefully we get our t-shirts by then. But we ordered some new tees. But anyway, you gonna be there too?
Yeah. Covered by God this Thursday.
Yeah, we're gonna be Covered by God. Yeah. We're gonna be turned. We're gonna be in the front too.
Oh yeah. It's listen, y'all, if y'all never been there.
It's going down.
Oh yeah,
it's going down.
Demons ain't allowed in there.
Yeah. Who, let's bring up Sierra next.
We got Sierra back. Oh wait, she was already on here. What up with you, Sierra?
Hey, I was on here last time with y'all.
Welcome back. What you got for us?
So 29 St. Petersburg, Florida. So I just want to touch on, y'all mentioned about the Reiki, and I have my paramedical esthetician license, and I was looking at everybody in the chat, and I remember my teacher, because I was so good at it. I was doing microneedling, the facials, the chemical pills, like I was really doing really good in my class, but I am heavily spiritual. Like the last time y'all brought me up, I remember the man, because I was the 29-year-old with the 3 kids and all of that. And I remember he was like, "So are y'all a spiritual program?"
That was when we had Kenny Burns on.
Mm-hmm. And my kids was interrupting. My kid's dad was like, he didn't like that I was on live, but I was like, that wasn't nothing but the enemy, and I could never even find that video again. But I'm like, it's like y'all becoming more of a spiritual channel. Like I really believe that God is working through y'all, and I was thinking about the whole Reiki thing when she mentioned it, and he was talking about how basically you take the pain or whatever somebody's going through, take it out the body and you feel it. And I felt like he knew that I was doing so well with paramedical esthetician, like with my face, like in class in general, and people would want to come to me for a facial, asking me tips on how to do this, that he wanted to put me into what he was practicing. But I'm like, it don't sound good to me. I'm already good. I know what I'm doing. I'm about up there with you, even though you're a professor. And he really started not liking me, tried to fail me at all, and all I did was pray. I listened to my church music in class and everything, and I had a girl in there, and she was married, and she'll be like, "Sierra, do you think that sounds weird? It kind of sounds like voodoo. Are they practicing witchcraft on us and stuff like that?" I was like, "I don't know, girl," because I didn't know much about that then until now I'm tapping more spiritually and trying to get closer into God, because I've watched tarot cards and stuff like that before, and my mom and my grandma would get on me just by growing up in a Christian family, but me doing my own thing, I've learned on my own, just comparing the word of God to what I was looking at. And I had to repent and pray, God, please forgive me. I didn't know. I really just wanted information, like how y'all are. I want to know what's up, what's going on, how to operate in this life for real. Right. But I've learned that really do come from the Bible, and I really didn't have a question. I kind of just wanted to say that, because I know people as young as us, we're kind of so-called naive or ignorant, but I feel like we're just very curious. And then, like I say, how can one teach that? They teaching us how to meditate in the classroom when we're trying to get, a license. So that, and they're teaching that in schools now. Like my baby girl, she's 8. She'll go to school talking about God. She'll get in trouble, but the teacher will talk to her about waking up at 3 a.m. at the Wiccan hour. I didn't teach her that. Why are you talking about that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just I feel like the agenda of the enemy is a lot more pushed. And I've heard about something recently with you guys, but I believe that the enemy is more, that agenda is pushed so hard that if we do anything close to God, because now this generation is tapping into spirituality for real, whether it be good or bad. And now that we're getting the answers and putting the pieces and connecting the dots together, and when we start to talk about God, I feel like the enemy like to interrupt. Like even with Sarah keep trying to come back on the live and everything. Even that night when I was interrupted, like talking to y'all, like
Right.
I just feel like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's not hard to do. It's easier said than done, but I don't think it's a hard thing to do to fuse spirituality into with God. And I do believe that our background with Christianity is African based first. I don't believe it's all the black magic and the voodoo and all of that. Like, no offense to anybody or anything. I believe it was a split of you praising God and others wanting to go off and do their own thing. And that's in the Bible as well. God didn't tell them to do that. They start building up their own communities, making their own languages. God didn't tell them to do that, to where he started punishing them for that.
Sarah, you had to let something off your chest. I can tell. Let me ask you this, because I remember you came on the show, and we took that episode down, by the way, which is why that's not up. But I'm curious.
They must have took that down.
We did, but it's all good. It had nothing to do with you. But I'm curious. You still abstinent?
I am.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure, because it's only been about 2 weeks since then. And I want to make sure you're still holding it down.
No, yes, I am. And honestly, it feels so good. Like that day I was taking my walks, so I just take my walks, find something to get into. But I realized too, I watch you guys a lot, and someone named Abednego Lufal. Like I watch y'all like back to back and forth. Like while I'm studying, doing my homework, or I'm at work, like I will watch y'all. Like I realized something that he said. Like we
hold on.
Wait, Sierra. Wait.
You trying to be the third host up in this thing, Sierra?
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Listen. Thank you so much for coming up on here and sharing with us. Okay.
No, we appreciate your testimony.
Okay. Bye.
Sierra was going crazy on that one. She's like turned up. Shout out to Love Kingdom. Said God is a spirit, and those who worship him must do it in spirit and in truth. The truth is race doesn't matter. Salvation of the soul is what Jesus shed his blood. Christian means followers of Christ. Shout out to Winter's Lighthouse. God is holy. The only image we should have him is holy, righteous, sovereign, omnipotent, omnipresent, love, good. Ultimately, his skin color does not matter because is God all people. Shout out to JL says, what is their take on divine feminine and Christianity? Interesting.
See, I still got that wokeness in me. We're going to have to bring somebody in here to get that wokeness up out of me, because I can't all the way agree with that. That's why these are still important conversations we got to bring to the platform.
Yeah, we do. Shout out to real Christian Simon. We need Pastor Edward James or Meadows on here for clarity. Oh man, we ain't had Pastor James on here in a minute, man.
They said Pastor James. Oh man, that's the OG.
That's the OG.
That's a good one here. Matter of fact, I'm gonna hit Pastor James up just for y'all guys. Just so you know, we still are in the initiation hotline.
Hotline, please.
Y'all got a couple more minutes to come up here and chop it up here with us tonight, as we are in the historic part 3 of our first ever series, the absolutely incredible. All right, and War Ready series.
Let's bring Dale up in a second. Shout out to Shauna, member for 9 months. That's dope. Remember, Moses' wife Zipporah was black. Hey, I'm gonna have to look that one up.
We got some woke folks in the chat too. Hey, listen, guys, please put your cameras on if you're backstage. We will not bring you up backstage if your cameras are not on.
Big facts, Queen B. We love you. Thank you.
Say it again.
The attacks.
Did you try to whisper by the mic?
Yeah. It's a live show. We ain't got to keep that secret.
It's live, y'all. We can't even whisper.
Big facts.
We're going to talk about all of that, all right? And hold on. Well, I got some, let me go ahead and take care of a couple members in the family right here. By the way, if you got to be, listen, if you really need to be anonymous, you better put it in the chat why and give me a really good reason if Tanai had that camera on, because we're not going to bring you up without that camera on.
Bring Dale up here, because Dale was waiting since last episode to get on.
Dale, what up, brother?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
You sound a little muffled, brother. Is anything blocking your speaker?
1 second.
There you go. Get it right. Dale look like he be Ryan Cousin or something. It still sound
nothing alike, bro.
It still sound a little muffled.
A little muffled, Dale. Get that right.
Dale, what's good? Look, hold on. What's going on with y'all stuff today, man? Dale, what you talking about? Metro PCS? You got some warfare going on here. I can't hear you, Dale. Looking, you going backstage, brother?
Yeah, get
your
backstage.
T-Mobile and come back, Dale.
Shout out to Peyton. Okay, Peyton, what's going on?
Oh wow.
Yeah, you on?
Oh my God! Wow.
Yes.
I'm new to the platform. I've been watching you guys show like a lot of episodes. I love the last episode with Prophetess Tiffany. That's her name.
Yep, you got it. You got it.
Yes. So funny thing.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm over here pressing buttons. That's my bad. What I need you to, I had to stop you though, because you got to start by giving me your age, your location, and your question.
Okay, so my age, I'm 27. I'm in Florida, Fort Lauderdale area. And
There
what
we
else?
go.
That's it, right?
And your question.
Oh, okay. My question is, how do you maneuver? So I'm single. I was engaged, but it's hard for me to date now because my last ex, I found out that his mom basically worked Santeria on me. And
Hold on, wait. You said, wait, so say that last part again?
his mom worked Santeria, like the Dominican witchcraft.
I didn't know. Oh, I'm not familiar. Okay, got it. So it's a form of, his mom is in witchcraft.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And then, short story, basically I found out, I got back in contact with my dad. I didn't grow up with my dad, but I got back in contact with my dad, and then come to find out he's into witchcraft. Like, he showed me the altar and everything, and it bugged me out, and that was like 2 years ago. So now I don't know how to to move forward with dating because I'm scared. And like the other day I met like a pastor guy who was trying to pursue me, and for some reason, like 2 days later, like actually a week later after we went on a date, I felt like he was trying to work something, like it just like I felt like he was like a warlock or something, and I was like, I can't do this. So my question is, how do you move forward basically after encountering so many different type of like entities? And then I recently got baptized, so now it's like I really trying to figure out how do I maneuver in like this dating pool and this, trying to move the godly way, I could say.
So let me summarize this. Your ex, you found out that his mom was with the craft. He might have potentially also been down with it, potentially a warlock. And you pretty much feel like you had to baptize and get all the way up out of it. And now you're asking now, how do you get back into pretty much dating? How long ago was this, by the way?
My ex was like 3 years ago. We were engaged like 2.5 years, about to be 3 years.
How long were y'all together?
We were together for 4.5 years, about to be 5 years.
Wow. Okay. And it ended 3 years ago.
Yes, about to be 3 years ago. Yeah.
When were you baptized?
December 10th last year.
Okay. And I can imagine, talk to me about this, Naja, because if you were probably in deep with somebody that was involved with witchcraft, y'all were, I mean, it was very intimate. Y'all was having sex and all, right? I mean, so you talking about in your most vulnerable state with this person.
Yeah.
Mixing spirits.
Sexually transmitted demons.
Sexually transmitted demons.
Slayer.
Wow. That's a whole different type of STD.
Yes.
Right?
That's crazy.
And now 3 years has gone by, baptized yourself. I guess she's pretty much trying to communicate that to some degree, she's ridded herself of these things, supposedly. Right. But how do we know that it's actually a healthy point to now go out and start reconnecting ourselves with new people in our lives?
Well, first of all, she needs to fast. There needs to be fasting and praying in order to clear and break off anything that may have attached itself to her, first of all. Secondly, making sure that her relationship is where it needs to be with God. If your walk is where it needs to be with the Lord, then he's going to lead you, he's going to guide you when it comes to dating, choosing correctly, having discernment, knowing who is of God, who isn't. You know what I mean? So your relationship being strengthened with God is what's going to help you in that process. I went through it, okay? Came out of it. Imagine having a child with someone who practices Ifa, okay? The spiritual war that I had to deal with before that got broken was...
You just left that one out.
Right. Yeah, I did.
So how does that happen though? Like, cause if you had, but it's like I hate, oh man, I'm not trying to, but it's just like have like a baby demon or something. Like, do you gotta pray?
No.
Do you gotta pray? Like, because I can imagine
that was after he started practicing it. After,
but if he was, because I can imagine as women who are having sex and getting pregnant by people in the craft, does that automatically birth something into that child?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's how generational curses begin. So typically the same demons that were attached to where they were practicing are now attached. They can attach in the womb. So they harass those children as they get older. And the scripture actually says that those generational curses will be to the third or fourth generation. Wow. So when you are practicing these things, it doesn't just affect you, it affects your children.
Okay, so thankfully y'all did not have kids, right?
No, we didn't have kids. Yeah, no kids, and no kids.
But yeah, I definitely recommend that you fast and pray, and allow your focus to be more on Jesus. And as you meet people, you need to go to him first. Ask him for red flags. Ask him to reveal the spirit behind the person. You know what I mean? To make sure that you're not going into something, and definitely stay away from any sin. No more fornication.
I agree with that. I think fasting is the answer to many things. Yeah. And I think you gonna always need something to lean on, some counsel to lean on. Mm-hmm. And I think Jesus and God is really, really good for that. And the thing is, I say this a lot. I think, man, it's women are so emotionally adaptive and spiritually adaptive that they can be highly impressionable, you know? And I think so many women, they deal with men that they really don't even consider what the implications and ramifications might be. And in my opinion, when a woman decides to be with a man, whether it's for a week, a year, years, like, you are being receptive of mentorship. And whether you want to, because Ryan's a misogynist, but I really think that's the case because of the way you guys are emotionally and spiritually adaptive like that. And women will look up the restaurant on TikTok, on Instagram, on Google, look at the reviews, call and see how it's doing. They will call friends, but they won't do the same level of due diligence for the dude that they messing with. Yeah. So you mess with a dude for a month, then you mess with a dude for 6 months, then you mess with a dude for 3 months, then you mess with a dude for a year. Well, you just took on 4 mentorships where the only thing that you received was dick. That's really that's really the situation. Slayer. And I really think that women don't even understand what they're taking on. So, which is why men are really concerned. Like, hey, we want to know, who you dated before, right? Because we know based on how that dude operates, we know what kind of impression he may have been leaving on you, and what kind of practices that you may have adopted from being with this dude. And women can say a lot of things, but when a woman really gets with a dude that she's rocking with, whether it's toxic or good for her, she will adopt so many ideologies and philosophies and practices from this man. And if only thing you can do is walk away, and you have all of this baggage and toxicity wrapped in those relationships, then you're in really bad shape. That's why I think it's very important that women really are cognizant of how they spend their time. I literally met a young lady at the park, and she came and sat by me. I'm single, so I chat, you know what I mean? And I chat, and I'm asking her, I'm like, yeah, where you from? What's going on? She's like, she came out here with a friend. I'm like, okay, well, she came out with her friend. Who knows what that means, right, in Atlanta? So I'm like, where your friend at? Right. And she's like, oh, he's up there, right? And I'm like, okay, well, why is he up there and you sitting by me? I very boldly asked this young lady that. And she's like, oh, well, he needs to train somebody and these kind of things. And I'm like, well, why are you at the park with this guy and he's got some other things going on? And pretty much, again, why are you sitting next to me, right? Because she was sitting next to me, open to me, looking for conversation. And she, says something random. And I'm like, well, look, are y'all on a date? She says, well, I don't know. He wasn't very specific about it. And I'm like, well, how did you get here? She's like, well, I went to pick him up. And I'm like, well, why would you go pick this dude up and you're not very clear on what's happening? And she says, well, it's not a big deal. I just wanted to hang out at the park. He hanging out at the park. And I was like, and I really had to go in like big bro mode on this young lady. I'm like, do you understand how much of your time you're wasting as well as your emotional and spiritual bandwidth by just going to pick up a dude that you have no idea what his intention is because you think it's okay to just hang at the park. And I was like, me as somebody, you know, now having this conversation with you, I had to explain to her, if you're dealing with a mature man who is operating with intent, then that man would not even want to deal with you because this is how you spend your time.
Exactly.
You freely throw your spiritual time, your money, your resources at dudes you're not even clear about. And that time that you think is inconsequential is actually really, really big because you're spending a few hours with this man who is either, you know, doesn't have the courage or the gumption to actually tell you what's going on
and going nowhere,
right? So it's so many women that spend their time like that. So you operating in this way, it's just like it really does have an impact on you, and it really clogs your emotional bandwidth and ability to connect with the right dude.
Right.
You know, so you think you just spending time a month, or you think it's okay because you know what you want and you know he's using you, or you just want sex too, but it's so many consequences that come from that down the line. And I really think that a simple solution to when you have all of these things going on, because I literally just talked to, I know I'm saying a lot of things, I literally talked to a young lady, said she was with a married man for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Right? And this is regular, like these types of things regularly happen. The answer is for you to step away completely from relationships because you are not in the mental state to handle your own emotions and boredom and being alone. So if you step away, and then when you step away, you then bring God and Jesus and scripture into the picture, it's going to equip you to deal with yourself first. Because for you to be spending your time like that, you got a lot of issues that you got to work out with yourself. And then once you start to build upon that, when you do get in situations with a man you might be attracted to, now you got this counsel, you know, under your arm or on your shoulder or in your head or in your heart that's advising you which way to go when you get that fork in the road. So that way you don't go about wasting your time. So ladies, creating boundaries. Ladies, step away first before you get back in there.
It's a war.
What, my boy Ryan just first of all,
you just counseled us.
He just saved at least 100 women in the chat right now.
I hope so.
At least 100 women just got saved in the chat right now live. Peyton, you got what you need. You good, Peyton?
Yeah, I'm good. That's
all
good.
Right. You delivered?
Yes, thank you so much. Yes.
I am delivered.
There you go. All right, Peyton, you be blessed, sweetheart.
You too. Thank you.
Oh man. That one was pent out. That one was in your chest, bro. That one was in your chest.
It's a war.
They needed that one. I needed that
war.
one. That's a fact. We're gonna bring a couple of more of the initiates on here. All right, on the hotline here tonight. All right.
Hotline, please.
Before we go ahead and close out the night here, and just so you know, I'm letting you guys know again. This is because y'all keep asking, why are they wearing this vest? Why are they wearing this vest? Because this is the War Ready series, y'all. We are preparing everybody for spiritual warfare. This is part 3. All right, it's a couple lost episodes, and I'm hoping we told you guys y'all better check out number 2 because listen, it was really a war. It's warfare going on. I'm not sure if that episode's gonna be able to stay up, but make sure you go ahead and check it out as soon as you can. And Wednesday we got 2 generals, soldiers coming up in here. We're gonna have Tiffany Buckner and Tiffany Montgomery come up here together, and we got an extra special episode that we have been cooking up for the last few weeks just to have them 2 here on here together. So y'all are gonna be in for incredible surprise, and that's how we're gonna close it out in a major way. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up one of my sisters here backstage. It looks like I have Rachel backstage that's been patiently waiting. Rachel, what up with your sister?
Hello, I am from Miami and I am 33.
There you have it.
My question comes into I started doing acupuncture a while ago because I was having shoulder pain. And when I went to this acupuncture lady, I would hear her do like this whispering, but I wasn't sure if she was doing chanting, and I thought that I was being paranoid. I grew up where, they teach us about all these things, but they take it to the next level. So a few weeks ago, I saw that like going to a chiropractor, is from divination. I think that's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, once you go to like a chiropractor, you do acupuncture, you do all these things, and you're essentially opening yourself up, even though you didn't intentionally do that. How do you go about closing yourself off and making sure that all of that stuff is off of you?
So I would basically say, first and foremost, acupuncture is a spiritual practice. So she probably was chanting.
And let me ask you, to be clear on what acupuncture is, what exactly is acupuncture for people that may not know?
Where they're, putting the little needles in the nerve areas of your body.
Okay.
In order to, I've never had acupuncture and I don't know a whole lot about the process of it being done, but it's supposed to help with different ailments of your body, pain and issues within the body. Same thing with Reiki, but it's just a different method by using the acupuncture. But what I would recommend definitely that you would do is anytime you've found out that you've been partaking in something that's not of God, you want to renounce it. You want to repent for it. And if you feel that there is a need to, I definitely recommend deliverance. I am very big on people learning how to do deliverance themselves because we can do deliverance ourselves. And I will be talking about that more as well on my channel. But because it's not necessarily the person that's doing the deliverance all the time, it is the Holy Spirit that is doing it all the time. And we're just partnering, okay? So yes, that's acupuncture.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you heard that person chanting while this was taking place, you said?
Yes, like I would, like they kind of do an assessment to say like, okay, what do you have going on? So when she would put the needles, sometimes it would be like she's putting in the needle and you would hear like a. So me, I used to be like the blood of Jesus. A little backstory, I don't want to take too much of your time. I went to another acupuncture person before this, and I had that same feeling. And when I had picked up her card, it said that she was a spiritual healer and she was a Reiki specialist. Mm-hmm. So once I had looked that up, I just thought that it was this acupuncture lady specifically that was doing that, but it wasn't that in general. So after I went to the second person, the first person never did any chanting or anything like that. But when I went to this second person, it would be like she would put it in and then she would do like a and then she'd be done. So sometimes I used to pray, but sometimes I used to fall asleep. So I was like, I don't know if my prayer kind of went through, but yeah. I stopped going. But I just kind of wanted to know how to make sure that all of those things was closed off.
Wow. I definitely deliverance or prayer and fasting, literally. Because prayer and fasting, whenever you see the scripture that says this kind comes out through prayer and fasting, a lot of times that's what you need to do and allow the Holy Spirit to break that off for you. Okay. And it needs to be, go to the Holy Spirit in reference to what that looks like, because not everybody, have you ever fasted before?
I fasted before, but I didn't really think it worked. So
what did that look like though?
Did it right. So I did like a juicing fast. I didn't eat anything and I prayed, but I felt like I didn't really hear from God. Mm-hmm. I was reading my word, but I didn't feel like what I was fasting for, or I felt the same way when I was done. So I felt like obviously I was doing it wrong, because when people say prayer and fasting, they're like, my life was changed. God gave me an answer. I just felt the same. So I was like, I probably did it wrong.
Well, he doesn't always answer when you want him to, in the midst of it, or even right after it. So it depends on, first of all, whenever we're fasting, a biblical fast is water, no food. Okay. And for a period of time, whether it's from 6 to 6, 6 to 3, or 24 hours, 48 hours. And so when you're doing that, you got to be intentional when you're fasting. You need to be praying the scriptures, specifically in reference to what you're trying to have the Holy Spirit break. Pray those scriptures. Worship. Worship is a weapon. So if you're not praying, if you're not worshiping, if you're not reading the word, spending time with the Lord during that time you're not eating, then more than likely you probably did not do enough to usher in his spirit.
That fasting, it really works.
Yeah.
It really works. Now, it's tricky, so you may have to do it a couple times, but I think it really works. The thing about it is, when you know, because it's days of it, you know, and I've done multiple 7-day water fasts. I've also done multiple mono fruit diets, and I did like 3 last year. I was going crazy, but you know, the first couple of days is just about fighting the cravings, because your body is just wants food, you know, and you just realize how much of those bodily like the bodily reactions is just all from your mind. It's like your mind is accustomed to eating at certain times and doing certain things, right? Once you get past the first couple of days, is usually you're not really hungry, so to speak. You just kind of feeling just it's like a purge of you just like really start the beginning of the mental and spiritual purge. You just start feeling lighter. You start feeling initially a little bit more energy. You know, you kind of feeling good, like kind of what's going on. You know, I feel lit today. It's like the 3rd day no fast. I ain't ate nothing. I don't need to eat nothing all day. You know, the 5th day, you know, or so, you feeling the hunger pains. It's not as strong. Now you really feeling hunger pains, but you are really feeling more mental and spiritual clarity. It's like your mind and heart really opens up. It's like you just like kind of floating. You know, you're feeling really good.
For you to be growing as a Christian and you did a fast for 7 days.
Yeah.
A lot of Christians don't do fast anything like that. Not even 24 days.
Wow.
To be honest, let me tell you, listen, if y'all think, because we have been considering doing a fast just with the initiates, all of us here together going through a fast together. If y'all think we should add that challenge, that's something that we've been considering. Put fast in the chat. And that's something that we actually consider. Let me know if that's something that y'all be down to do all together, us all fast together, because my fast is definitely coming up.
I literally just dropped a poll. What type of community challenge would you be most interested in? And I got 4 options. I got abstinence. That's what I'm leaning toward because I need some help, guys. Fasting, working out, and journaling. And I think all of those are very important. It looks like we got over 200 votes. Look like fasting is winning right now. But I want you guys to let us know, because whatever it is, I'm thinking we really should really pop this thing off.
Yeah.
Not July, but I'm thinking we prepare kind of everything and kind of how we moving. Because along with the fast, we also want to be consuming the right types of content to keep us steady in the fast. And we want to kind of have some benchmark points for kind of for us to kind of keep ourselves motivated and keep the intensity going. So please answer that poll. And if you have not joined the email list, all you got to do is complete the link that I dropped in the chat, which is for the giveaway. Okay, the giveaway not only enters you in the giveaway for 1 of 5 copies of From Witchcraft to Righteousness by Naja here with us, but it also would get you on our email list, because we're sending out a monthly surveys now for the next couple of months, so we can get in tune. Because to be honest with you guys, we really do feel like there's a fractured relationship between us and you guys, so we want to make that connection much stronger. And of course, that's going to start with us getting feedback from you guys. So not only if you click that link, you get entered into the giveaway, but you also get added onto our email list, so we can make sure we are really getting that feedback from you guys.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming up here and asking that question. Okay,
let's bring up Mia real quick.
We got Mia backstage. Mia, what up with you?
Hi. Do not cut me off, because I know how y'all quick with it.
No, you made it.
We're not going to do you. What's up with you, Mia?
Hey, I'm Mia. I'm 35 and I live in Atlanta.
ATL.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to keep it really, really brief and brilliant, right? So I had this friend for like 4 years, and I feel like she was like a spiritual mentor for me, because I was like new in my walk with Christ at the time. And she started telling me like she was having dreams about me, and kept telling me, you know, God is warning you about this and warning you about that. Her mom was dreaming about me, telling me they knew who my husband was, and telling me they knew what he looked like. And it was just like eventually, now I know I said 4 years, it's a long time. Eventually, I had to cut it off, because God gave me a dream that these people were like evil, and her mom was evil, and we were on this weird boat, and it was like very creepy. And they were trying to like hook me up with the brother. The brother ended up trying to date me. I wasn't interested in him. And it just became like this really like weird manipulative thing. But when I got that dream, she basically went off on me, because I don't know, I wasn't like trying to be under her thumb anymore. And she was like, God's going to deal with you, and just all these crazy things. But they would talk about Jesus, and, you know, always wanted to touch me when you like, they would pray for me, and, you know, so I feel like it was a manipulative situation. but I don't know exactly like what their goal would have been. So I don't know, like, since you have the background in like witchcraft, I know scripture says there will be people who pray in the name of Jesus and say that this is what they're operating in, but they're really not. So it was a little scary. I don't know what their goal was, but I got out of there, and she tried to text me not too long ago, and I did not respond because you said God was going to deal with me. Let him deal with me. Anyways, sorry.
Okay. So go ahead, Naja.
You said, okay, I missed that last part. You said something about God said that what?
Oh,
They
I
told
said that
you?
she told, like, when she was upset with me because I wasn't doing what she wanted me to do, like go to her house and get prayed for and touched and all that. I didn't deal with that. It was a ton of other crazy stuff, but she told me she was gonna let God deal with me, which I wasn't worried about that per se at all. But I'm just saying, like, what do you feel like their goal was with like constantly saying God is saying this and God is saying that and having these dreams about me and like trying to hook me up with their brother? The brother and the family. Like, they had this really tight family, and they were nice and all of that. But towards the end, it just got like kind of weird. Like, I just don't know what they're.
Sounds like they were involved in witchcraft for sure. And believe it or not, it could be anything. It could have been because they were jealous of you. It could have been if they have those doors open, those familiar spirits are telling them to do those things to you in order to derail your life. That's the whole purpose, is to derail your life through jealousy, through putting you with the wrong person, through attaching curses to you, sickness, all type of stuff. And so you think that they're nice and sweet and that they're friends and they're talking to God. But a lot of times when it comes to stuff like that, you got to be very leery with who you let pray over you, who you let touch you. Your discernment will tell you, and it seems like your discernment did tell you. And I'm glad you left them alone, because 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what was happening, for sure. Okay. Do you not know what they didn't show you that they say they were Christian?
Yeah, they I don't want to obviously go too deep in it, but I know like growing up in the church, or somebody was a pastor, maybe it was her dad or somebody, and they were. We talked about Jesus all the time. Like, it wasn't like she wasn't saying the name of Jesus. Like, we talked about it all the time. But I know witchcraft can be like when people try to control you. So I know it was like that, but I didn't understand the point of them telling me they're constantly like, I've never had somebody tell me they're dreaming about me all the time. Like, why do you keep dreaming about me? And, I'm not hearing anything. Like, God is not telling me these particular things. And I feel like I was like a baby Christian, at the time, like trying to grow in my faith and thinking that these people were, I don't know, for a time I feel like they were genuine, but then it's like, what are y'all trying to do? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's a lot of witches in the church. It's a lot of witches that's in the church, believe it or not. And I never was a part of anything in that area, like I said, of manipulating people, but it is a lot of that it's going on. And a lot of times they're using you by trying to do certain things to you in order so that they can gain things from the spirits that they serve.
Yeah, I don't watch many scary movies, so I was like, y'all ain't about to take mine. What y'all trying to do to me? I was supposed to go on a trip with them. That was the thing. I was supposed to go on a trip, and God gave me a dream. Literally, it was like very weird. And I know Pastor Ewing, you guys have had on here, I think that's his name, that be with Tiffany, said like stuff about water is like not good. We were on a boat. I was trapped. There was mermaids there, and they were looking evil. Like the people that I was. So I told her immediately, like, yeah, I can be able to go on that trip. Like I can't go. And then that's when it blew up. Like, she was upset with me and all of that. Like, it was just a lot of stuff. So.
Mia, let me tell you what I want you to do. I definitely want you to stay around for Wednesday's episode, because I feel like we might cover a bit of what you're talking about now on Wednesday's episode. But I appreciate you for coming up here and sharing, okay?
Okay, thank you. Bye, you guys.
All right. Man, let me tell you, shout out to the initiates, because y'all are coming up here. I can't have y'all. The backstage is still absolutely jam-packed. But listen, y'all, I got to get this queen home. All right, Naja, she can't be here all night, even though she has came here and definitely blessed us. I appreciate you, Naja, for coming up here. Really gave some really great perspective and information on just a lot of these things that come with, this spiritual world that we in, and a lot of things that we may not even be considering. I want to know you guys' thoughts about this episode here, and I want you guys to make sure that you go ahead and drop that joint in the comments here. But I want to ask this here, Naja, too, but before I get you out of here, because I think it's important to, talk about your, I guess, the transition of your season. Because I know we started about how you got into it.
Right.
And we started, we talked about all the things that you played with and you discovered while you were in that life. But what was that turning point? What inspired you to obviously turn around and change your life around?
So while I was practicing those things, I was sharing it on YouTube as my spiritual awakening. And while I was sharing it, there was a young lady that came onto YouTube, and she was harassing my videos and basically telling me that what I was experiencing was not of God, and that it was demonic, and it was a lie. And I was offended at first, and like most people. But one thing about me is that I thought that, like I said, I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So I humbly went before God and asked him to reveal to me, because I thought clearly I wasn't having all of these supernatural things happening to me, and God wasn't in it. Clearly I wasn't healing people with Reiki, and God wasn't in it. And because I humbly did that, he removed the scales from my eyes. And I immediately knew that what I was doing was wrong. And so I immediately threw out everything. I mean, I had to burn all of the writings that I had done with tarot, threw out hundreds of crystals, because I was selling the bracelets, the bracelets that men wear. I was making those. I even had those bracelets in Phipps Plaza. So it was a lot of money I had to throw away. And so once I threw everything out, I immediately start getting physically attacked. The sleep paralysis that I experienced was like on a totally different level. But I think that one of the worst attacks that I got, now I had to do a whole lot of different things in order to change the atmosphere, in order to keep these spirits at bay, which was to, sleep to Psalms 91. Or I was reading, prayers that rout demons nightly. And one night I had my light on. I had to sleep with my light on because I was too afraid because of the attacks. Had my TV on, and I woke up. They would wake me up in the middle of the night. First of all, they would tap me every time I would fall asleep. I've gotten punched in my chest. One night they woke me up about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up to everything I had on that was off. The TV was off, the light was off. And I immediately felt the spirit of fear come over me, like the anxiety. It was like I knew there was something in the room, okay? So I turned the TV back on, and I fell asleep holding cross around my neck. As soon as I went into a sleep, it was like the spirit associated with sleep paralysis. Like I had a vision of a woman. I could not see her face, but it was like she floated in front of a door. The door was red. I remember that. The door flung open, and it was like a person standing in front of the door.
Wait, the door flung open?
The door flung open. This is in the vision that I was having.
Okay, in the vision.
Right.
Okay.
And as that door flung open, the person that was standing there became decrepit, like their face, like just
transfigured.
Yes. And they died.
Oh my God.
Now, immediately after that happened, she came out of that vision and was physically on top of me. Okay. She was on top of me, and I saw the nails. They were long, disgusting, like gray looking nails. And she was digging into the back of my hand, trying to get me to release the cross. I could not move. I couldn't talk, but I'm saying in my head, like, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And it finally released me. But when it released me, it did not leave the room. So I got up, immediately turned the light on, turned the TV back on, all that stuff. And get my Bible. I'm praying. I'm worshiping. I'm singing. I'm like, I'm not going back to sleep. Okay. You're not about to get me to go back to sleep. I could see that it was a static figure in front of the door, and it was still in the room. So I guess it got tired of me worshiping, and it turned into a ball of light and flew past me out of the room. Now, when it passed me, all I can say is, without words, you can't describe the level of fear that comes. It literally, your whole body reacts. I could not, my whole body was literally like paralyzed and vibrating. So whenever you hear people talk about, you know, raise your vibration and all this stuff, these demons, they operate on a certain frequency. And that's the reason why that's like literally like demon talk, like raising your vibration. Because whenever they would come into the room, I would feel them. My legs, my feet would vibrate. They would come up my body, my whole body would turn cold, and they would be pulling the energy out of my third eye because I had opened my third eye. So I didn't know if they were trying to kill me or what. But imagine going through that for months where your parents can't help you. Nobody can help you.
Oh, it was attacking you like
physically. Yes.
For months.
Months. Yes. I could not sleep for months. So imagine you not being able to fight something that you know, that's attacking you.
That's scary as hell.
Yes. So every night when the sun went down, anxiety came over me. Literally, it was like suicidal thoughts because it's like, how long am I going to have to go through this? When is God going to save me?
Right.
So that was something, and that's the reason why I'm so passionate about this, because when I tell you, this is not something that anybody wants to experience, where I had to try and drug myself to go to sleep.
And was that sleep paralysis happen multiple times over those months?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And I've had that a couple of times. And when you go to the doctor, and I went to the doctor twice for it, it's no explanation.
No.
They literally be like, maybe you should diet. Maybe you stayed up too late. Maybe it's just random. It's no explanation from the medical profession.
They don't believe in the spiritual things.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to give you their thoughts from a book, you know, something you can study.
Right.
But no, it's definitely a demon sitting on top of you.
So
That's what it is.
So actually, man, we got a couple super chats in here that is really important that we take care of here, because I think this pretty relevant.
And guys, I give you a heads up. And Sarah's just being patient. She's waiting in the back. The internet is completely bugged out on I'm not sure what the situation is, but I actually spoke to Sarah. We're going to call Sarah to work out something where we can get her on the platform again, so we can make sure that you guys hear her perspective and her testimony as well. I think that's very important, but I just don't want to, take away from Naja's testimony and at the same time not get the full scope of Sarah's testimony.
Or Sarah's, yeah.
Yeah,
that makes
exactly.
a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and check out some of these chats that we got here. Manifest You question: should I rebrand? I created Manifest You based on the definition of the word manifest. I want to be in alignment with Father God. Pastor Meadows also spoke on this. Oh man, he said manifest. Now all of a sudden he's a little afraid.
Yeah. I mean, if you at war with it and you consider it, why not change it? It doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hurt, you know.
I agree.
My thing is, if you don't feel good about something, regardless of what's going on,
Right.
just walk away from it.
He's ashamed of the brand. you gotta feel that brand in your heart, son. You can't be second guessing the brand.
No, you really do. You really do.
Yeah.
So that's a good question.
All right, we got somebody dropped a
shout out to Anna Dominique. She says the whole Old Testament is about both black and brown or red people, Shem and Ham. They were African, duh. First, I really got some people that's like, yo, they really claiming it right now, which is dope. Shout out to Ashley Renee, says Christianity came from Christ, not a race or ethnicity. People are really on that. People are really
I'm telling
on
you,
that.
that's gonna be an incredible episode. We need to do that. But go ahead.
Anna says we need to get John Ramirez on here, and I agree. I looked up John Ramirez. I actually like him. We actually gonna reach out to him. You heard of him too?
Yeah.
He seems like
I studied a lot of his stuff during my process of deliverance.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So shout out to Color Pop Cray. She says Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Life is spiritual. We are spiritual first. We have a soul and live in a body.
There you have it.
Shout out to Star S, says the Bible on meditation. Joshua, telling the scriptures is just going crazy. Right. Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, keep this book of the law always on your lips, meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful.
Nice.
And man, I think that's pretty much it.
No. We got a couple more here.
Well, find it.
We got a couple
Help me out
more.
with
So
that.
we got it. If words invoke spells, why do we keep calling ourselves black? Per the English definition, wouldn't that be a form of witchcraft applied to us? Oh man, that just sounds weird.
I get what he's saying because and actually I think I did like a little research paper or something like this, but just the word black is just usually, I mean, all of the connotations that come along with it are usually dark and negative. So I think that's probably what they're referring to. Like even when you think about movies and some of this dark stuff, it all is black. It all fade to black. This the end. It's just so many.
I get it. Black male, blackballed. I 100% get that. But so. Is he saying that's a negative affirmation? That's kind of weird. Like, what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of negatively putting that label on you because black. I guess I'm just too woke for that one. I ain't ready to digest that one yet. I ain't ready to digest that one yet.
I too, because I am black and I am proud.
That's just kind of what that is. That one got to sit on us. We got somebody here. Jessica put this one here for me. She said, Tyshawn, please go forth and meditate. If the enemy starts to attack you, rebuke it and continue on. The intent is the defining factor.
That is a lie from the pit of hell.
Wow.
Interesting.
A lie from the pit of hell.
That is a debate, and that's why you asked that question about intent. Yeah.
I want to have a whole...
That's just like when I was doing tarot and I was talking to Jesus. I could easily have said I could do tarot because my intention was to talk to Jesus. Your intention does not matter. It doesn't. The word is the law and principle we should be going by, not what we think. So please excuse that comment because don't listen to that.
Okay. She might have to get her to call up. And I do want to give a shout out to her for having that profile pic. Guys, try to get like an actual headshot for your profile pic. Just because it just looks good. Like it looks good when we pull the comments up. It kind of makes it a little bit more engaging on the channel. So you can do whatever you want to. But I think the face shots just do justice and it makes y'all look good because we love the highlighting the initiates.
We got Jay Ellie. He says, or she says, what is their take on divine feminine and Christianity?
Divine feminine is a new age term. It has nothing to do with Christianity.
So is it against Christianity though? Like, is it so pretty much it's like we can only use words in the Bible. I guess certain concepts, I understand how it goes against the philosophy of Christ. But does that go against, or is it just
divine feminine is very connected to like goddess worship? Has nothing to do with Christianity.
Now I would say that is a word in their vocab heavily. That is a word.
Goddess.
But just because they use the word, does that mean that it's now bad because they have adopted it, or does that mean that's just something that they kind of owned?
The word goddess?
No.
Oh, the divine
goddess.
feminine?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you think about the fact that anybody that associates with being a goddess that uses the term divine feminine, you got to, again, think about where is it coming from? What is the origin? What is the root of it? A goddess is someone who thinks that they're a god, who operates as a god. And they think about the fact that they are, or they think that they're divine in their femininity. Has nothing to do with Christianity.
Man, you know what? We might need to sit down some goddesses.
No, you do not.
With the pastors.
No, you do
and
not.
break it down. We might need to sit that one down right there.
Let me tell you.
I'm just saying.
Tasha, let me tell you. So y'all see,
y'all gonna be in trouble again.
Y'all see, he been doing
exactly.
that.
I'll be pushing it to the edge. I sure do.
You trying to get in trouble again?
Because the reality of it is, these are the thoughts of our people. Like, these are Christians saying this. So like, I'm not about to just avoid these conversations because this is why we confuse.
But you don't want to bring goddesses in here. That would be no different than you bringing a warlock or a witch.
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they was on the same level.
Yes.
Now the goddesses need some healing too.
Yeah, they can get healed by watching. Not coming in.
Wow. You think that the goddess is on the exact same level as a witch?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So, like, you remember when I told you about the situation?
If you a goddess, drop goddess in the chat. I want to see my goddesses right now. Show yourself. Show yourself, demon.
No, hey, don't do that to the goddesses. Don't do that to the goddesses.
Hey, she called him a witch. What do you mean she said that? Don't do that to the goddesses.
But you remember what I told you when I talked to you, right? About
What's
the
that?
situation where I basically I did makeup for a celebrity. And I'm not going to say her name, but this was when I was in New Age. And she invited me to a mystical dance class. And so in this mystical dance class, what you are basically doing, you know, the women are there. They give you an angel card. You know, we read the angel cards. There's an altar in the room. They're burning sage around it. The purpose of it is to channel the goddess, okay? You're channeling a deity. You're channeling a goddess, a false god, a demon. And you're supposed to allow this goddess to inhabit you so that it's the goddess that's dancing through you around the room. That's why it's called mystical dance. Okay, so anything associated with goddesses is a no.
Interesting.
Wait, did any goddess show themselves in the chat? Did any goddesses in the chat? Don't hide now, goddesses.
Guys, the goddesses in there because I meet them. That they love the channel too.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
We have a lot of goddesses.
I used to like only date goddesses.
Oh no, Tyshawn, he was heavily into the goddesses.
What is wrong with y'all?
Because the goddesses, I was just they are typically very much so in touch with their femininity.
Yeah.
So they usually they're like really feminine women. And I'm just very much so, I was attracted to that. It wasn't nothing on.
It was a Jezebel spirit that was just drawing you to them. That's all that was.
That I'm not saying that ain't true.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the
I'm
goddesses.
not saying that ain't true.
Well, you know what? I don't want to keep the conversation on goddesses. Sarah says there are different types of meditation: transcendental, mindfulness, contemplation.
Yes.
Some are spiritually based, and some are nerve system based.
They're all demonic, all of them.
Interesting.
All of them. Meditation is meditation.
See, now you done said some very polarizing statements on here. I think we could pop off a whole debate on here next time.
No. And you know, that's because, you know, when you talk about, I think you're right though. All of those do go under that new age, I guess, category of a lot of what's trending right now. And I see what you're saying, that you don't want to bring it on here, but some parts of me, we have to address that though. Like we have to figure out how to address that because they in the chat right now.
But why do you feel like you need to be the one to do that? I don't get it.
Because hardly initiate, we don't want to have them hard conversations. Ain't nobody else having it. You heard that in the church?
So if that's the case, then why you take the other video down?
Well, sometimes we push it too far.
Yeah, sometimes we
push it way too far.
The video that wishes to remain nameless.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we took that down
nameless.
because, you know, people was hitting us up that was saying, look, after I watched that episode, a demon came in my house.
Yeah.
People was hitting us up saying stuff like that. So, you know, we don't want to be bringing, you know.
What you think gonna happen? You bring some goddesses in here?
You know, I mean, I don't.
Same thing.
You think a demon gonna come to somebody's house if we have a conversation about the? Well, see, because I don't want to talk about. And again, I'm not saying I'm doing this episode, but what I am saying, I think it's just a very important conversation for us to get clarity because again, it's Christian using these same words. Like it's Christians using these words, calling themselves. They may call it. I don't know if they call themselves a goddess, but they definitely want to probably work on their femininity. They use these words regularly. And I think there's just a lot of confusion there.
But again, you don't want to get that information from the people that are doing it. You want to get that information from people who know God, who can give you the right information. Does that make sense?
Oh, no. If we do it, we're going to have, if I do it, I'm going to have some pastors here. I got you.
Let me see.
The pastors are not going to protect you.
I understand.
We got to figure that out. But
I understand.
We got to figure that out. Now, Sarah's really saying some things in the chat, which I think are some things that I would agree with about the breathing. See if it's one more time. This is the last time, and if this don't work, I don't know what to do. But what she mentioned is you have to be specific. Sitting in silence and breathing is not inherently demonic. Breathing at a controlled pace in silence calms the heart and can help control their anxiety. We must be careful being overly spiritual.
Who said that?
Yeah.
Sarah.
I'm sorry, I don't agree.
Interesting.
Because there's a such thing as breath work, and a lot of people who meditate, and a lot of people who channel and go into trances start with breath work. You see what I'm saying? So it's like teeter-tottering on the line. You got to be careful. Why can't we just stick to what scripture says? Meditate on the word. Then you will keep yourself out of even the possibility of something coming in. Literally.
You know, I see why you would say that, because I do think some people, you just have to say no, like no sweets, you know, no alcohol, you know, no weed, nothing, you know. But me personally, when I meditate, I typically am in silence, and I just try to think nothingness. That's how I try to think. And I just deeply breathe until I feel my muscles just get extremely relaxed, and I just try to stay in that state as long as possible. And I usually feel very clear, less anxious, you know, just kind of overall and clear-headed. But I can see if someone, you know, was battling which side of the spectrum spiritually they was going to be on, how potentially some of those things can be dangerous, and maybe they'll catch one of those thoughts that's floating around in their head and kind of linger on that. But I think it's definitely worth a deeper conversation on that, though, because some of these things I do think just kind of all get thrown into this is demonic, and I'm just not quite sure about that.
Well, if you want to keep doing it and see what happens, go right ahead.
No, you know, again, that's why. But I'm looking at the chat and I see it's a lot of questions around it too, you know, and that's why it's important to really further and go deep into these conversations, so you know we really can gain a level of clarity. And you know, some people gonna be convicted after one conversation and understand that this is not what I want to mess with. Some people it's gonna take a couple conversations, for it to really drive home and for us to really get a depth of understanding into what we should and should not be doing.
Well, one thing I always say in anything that I teach, you don't have to believe nothing I say. Take it back to God. The same way that I went to God and I said, hey, reveal to me the truth. He revealed to me the truth. So whether I tell you to do it or not, you go before God in prayer and ask him to convict you if it is spiritually dangerous. And he will.
It's so crazy. We got about 2,000 people in the chat. I just really think this is so captivating and just such a fascinating conversation. We could probably keep people in the chat literally all night. And it's just a lot of things to unpack. It's like we doing 4 episodes for the War Ready series, but I feel like we can do 10.
Yeah, and I mean that's just how much we really at war. You know, and a big part of the war is just confusion and ignorance, you know, and it's just so much information out there right now because, you know, a few generations back, it was people not really getting all the information or having all the answers or being gatekeepers to certain information. Now, with so much information that people are flooded, you know, and it's just really important that, you know, right now more than ever, you just really protect yourself, y'all. And like, you really have to, when they say, I get it now, you know, protect your ears and eyes. It's really a real thing that you do have to protect your ears and eyes and check the source that you get information from.
They're gates.
But they truly are gates. But, you know, we dedicated to finding the answers and to having the conversations to help further convict us in the right way, you know, so we can be moving closer to God. And that's what we're going to do.
Facts. And what I want to do real quick is give y'all one last opportunity to complete this link and to get register for the giveaway, because we are giving away 5 of Naja's book, From Witchcraft to Righteousness. And don't forget, not only do you get a chance to enter to be one of the 5 lucky winners, but you also get added to our email list, for which we send out some really dope emails. I mean, we highlight members of the community. We send you guys really great content and feedback. We literally take the emails that you guys send us, and a lot of times we address those questions and concerns and situations on the email, as well as send out surveys and just really cool things. And we actually got something very, very, very special coming up, because we actually got a sponsor that's going to do a huge giveaway for us for the entire month of July. Can I talk about it? Yeah. So Tally and Twine, guys, is actually sponsoring us, which is a Black-owned watch company. It's one of the fastest growing watch companies in the world, and they are going to allow us to give away 4 watches, guys. 4 watches. And these watches kind of give you an idea. These are $250 to $300 watches. They're going to allow you to pick whatever watch you want, and we actually going to have a giveaway to where we are giving away 4 of those watches in the month of July, amongst a host of other really cool things, guys. But you will only be notified, of course, if you click that link, go ahead and register so you can get added to the email list. And one very last thing, I'm just very curious because we're trying to figure out how to get this episode in with Sarah as well. If you guys would just be open to an impromptu episode tomorrow, I don't know, we're going to pop it off in the morning, in the afternoon, but if you would just be open to it, go ahead and drop Misfit in the chat, okay? Drop Misfit for Sarah the Misfit. Drop Misfit in the chat if you're open to it, and we might actually send you guys a message about doing that impromptu episode because we really want to get it all in, because on Wednesday we got Tiffany Buckner, we got Tiffany Montgomery, and we got Reverend Solomon coming through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, you know Reverend Solomon?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Man, we got all 3 of them coming through, and we are having an entire episode on deliverance, and it's really going to be epic. It's the grand finale of the War Ready series, guys. So I really want y'all to be a part of all that, but drop Misfit in the chat if you want to get a little extra and you want us to have Sarah the Misfit on tomorrow.
Bam!
It's a war.
And there you have it, family. I cannot have you guys leave without first asking to subscribe to the channel. All right, the subscription that you guys put, you press the button, it has a huge impact on us being able to continue to grow the platform and bring these incredible episodes to you that we are even planning to bring on an even greater level. So guys, please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. But y'all already know how we do it. Hardly initiated. We are out.
Like, yo, they really claiming it right now.